Welcome to the Bass and Brews podcast, your weekly distraction from other high-quality podcasts. And now, your host, Alex from Swamp Rat Fishing, and the co-hostess with the mostest, the Jabberhammer, Paul Roberts.
Hello! This is the third season of Bass and Brews podcast. And tonight, Alex is running late. I think he had to go to the school district to pick up his GED. So he's running late. It's just me. And we have our guest on tonight, Matt Pangrac, from one of the oldest, longest running podcasts about fishing out there, Bass Talk Live. Panger, what's up, Hulse? How you doing, man?
What's going on, Paul? It's been a minute. I think I was on 2 years ago. We talked about those where we talked about some sort of giant blade bait. I remember, or you had sort of funky bait that you had back there that I was mesmerized with.
Yeah,
it was for ledge fishing.
Plug.
Yeah, big giant spoon plugs. We did like a half hour on spoon plugs.
Yep, that's the old Buck Perry from down here, Hickory, North Carolina. Ain't alive no more, but that's spoon plugging. You know, you can't catch fish where fish ain't. And the other saying I'd love from him is the fish are shallow, deep, or somewhere in between.
Yeah, that'll work. I'm trying to get a little, trying to post this on the Instagram that I'm on here.
Oh, sweet. Well, we appreciate the shout out, you know, because we're terrible podcast hosts for the most part. We don't do much on the social media. We rely on our fans that do so much for us, especially with the memes. We probably have one of the greatest meme games out there, and it's because of our fans. We don't even do it, and it's awesome. So we appreciate that from y'all folks. Man, what have you been up to? Has it been 2 years? I can't remember. A lot has happened.
It's been probably a year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half, I think it was. Alex was gone on one of his Coast Guard tours, and he was so upset that he missed the episode with you on here. And y'all, Alex isn't here. It worked out so great that he's running late because he has no idea Matt's on tonight. And this is one of the people, you know, this is one of his.
Any pre-production. No freaking pre-production whatsoever. He just show up live.
Yeah. And, you know, this was one of his Mount Rushmore podcasters to have on here was Matt, and he missed the first one. He has no idea. I told him, well, you know, this coming from Bass and Brews, man. Yeah, I mean, I think we only got 45 listeners now, which is up from about 10 from last year. So it's a good time. He's going to be super excited when he gets on. We're going to give him shit and rag him for being late. I at least hope he shows up. You know, sometimes he don't show up. It's just crazy like that. So what have you been up to this past year? Because, you know, you're fishing the opens, you're running the podcast, 3 episodes a week. I mean, you got to be the busiest man in fishing.
I don't know. There's probably guys that are a lot busier than me. It's just sitting down and talking about it. But, yeah, I mean, the industry and what's going on has kind of dictated how busy it's been especially over the last couple months. But it's good if you have a show and you talk about it. But I've never, I don't think of it like work, dude. Like, it's just life. So, I mean, I enjoy it when there's something and you stay active and all of a sudden you look up and you're like, dang, it's freaking 3:00 and you've been on, you know, done show and been on calls the rest of the day, just figuring out what the hell's going on in the world.
You're one of the lucky guys that's in the industry, though, because you hear folks all the time say, if you like fishing, don't get in the industry, because when you're in the industry, all you do is work. You never get to fish, but you're getting to do both. You're living the life of bass angler.
You make it sound so glamorous. It's not. Yeah, I mean, no, I feel very fortunate, but I mean, I grinded like really hard for a lot of years, like working for Jeffries and going to all the tournaments and covering it on the ground and writing and not making any money at it and just putting in the freaking work. So it cracks me up when people say, like, in the opens, like, oh, you know, he's kind of got like, he's been around, he gets all that. Like, no, man, like, I busted my ass for like 10 years at every single event, 200 days on the road, like living in an apartment to do this. So, I mean, I think people forget that I'm 39. Like, I kind of was behind the scenes for so long. And then, you know, I had the opportunity to take it over a couple years ago. So,
well, you age pretty damn well because you don't look 39. And, you know, I mean, Is I don't understand that. I mean, I'm 42, and if I shaved my beard, I'd look like I was 50.
And I can't grow a damn beard.
Well, the secret is just quit shaving.
Like, I've tried it for like 2 months. I look like I have some sort of disease. Like, people ask if I'm okay if I don't shave for 2 months.
You got a
and then
mangy
it's like
beard.
see-through. It's not a good look. I've tried it.
Well, look,
because I'd like to at least do like maybe like I feel like a little handlebar action would be. It's never gonna happen. I gave up on that dream like in my mid-20s.
And that's sad. I don't know where I'd be in life if I couldn't grow a beard. I've only been clean shaven twice since May 17, 2008.
Really?
Yep.
Special occasions, or you just woke up and made a bad decision? Or
Well, May 17, 2008, I shaved. That was the morning of my wedding.
Okay.
And then I was clean shaven once after that in 2015 is because I was leaving a job and going to an interview at a place that didn't allow facial hair. I shaved for that. And as I'm walking out of that interview, I had somebody call me and offer me another job. And I told him right then and there, it's like, do you mind if I have a beard? And he goes, I don't give a shit what you look like as long as you do work. And so I let it grow out. And every job I've had since then where I wasn't my own employer, I told them, I was like, look, I'm not going to shave. If that's a problem, let me know now so we don't waste any time. And yep, I haven't been clean shaven since.
Nice.
It's kind of grown on me.
Yeah, it fits you.
Well, it does. I mean, I had to hide I'm such a good looking fella. I had to hide the handsome.
Well, plus if you make beard dust, you have to have a beard.
Yeah, that's right. And you're one of the lucky recipients of my beard dust.
You ever thought about selling that stuff?
Hell no. No.
Seriously?
No.
I'm serious. It's like, it's one of my top 3 all like spices that I've ever tried.
Well, I appreciate that.
It's the top all-purpose spice.
Hey, look, put it on. If you eat popcorn, put it on some fresh.
I put it on popcorn. I put it on everything. So, like, I use the J.D. Murray's for steaks, and he's got a kayak shop in Illinois, and makes it all himself. But then, like everything else, I mean, I went through the entire canister, whatever you sent last time of it, and I put it on everything.
Yeah, it usually shows up in a Ziploc bag or an old spice bucket. I just had
it was an old spice thing last time.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm glad you enjoy it, but hell no, I never want to sell anything that people have to eat, because when you're giving that shit away for free, barbecue rub, any of that stuff, they love it. But once you start charging people, they start getting into feelings, and then they get opinions.
I think the opinions on that would be positive.
Yeah, well,
I think you could do a little side hustle on it.
Here's the deal, man. Everybody and their mama, because of TikTok, if they cook barbecue, they make their own rubs now. 10 years ago, there weren't that many out there, but now there's 45 million.
It's like live scopers.
So what you're saying is all these barbecue rubs popping up by all these no names out there is ruining the barbecue rub business, like live scopers are ruining fishing.
Oh, I didn't say they're ruining fishing. I just said that there's a lot of them out there now.
There are, but let's be real. If you're not scoping, you hoping.
I'm one of them. I'm out there. But I just got back from Table Rock 5 days, and I'm not kidding, Paul. In 5 days, I never made a cast in less than 30 foot of water, and the only reason I made a cast in 30 was because I was rolling an A-rig over a brush pile that was in 30 foot of water, and 95% of my casts were over 110 to 130 foot of water with a spinning rod in the middle of the channel for 5 straight days.
But you can't do that shit with side down imaging.
With forward face? No. That's what I'm saying. You're dealing with bait that's out in front of the boat, 5 foot down over 130 foot of water with 2 smallmouth swimming through it, eating little fingernail shad.
We had our state championship here in North Carolina a few weeks ago, and the guys that did good, the top guys were fishing like 30 foot of water with A-rigs and Ned rigs on scoping. No, I didn't have a chance doing that shit. I don't have it. I'd love to have it. Norman.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I like Norman. I put Norman in my top 5.
Really?
Ever. Yeah, I loved Norman when we went there for the Open in the fall. It was to a T. Like I could fish Norman 100 days in a row and never get tired of it.
It's my first time on that lake. Where I am, I'm in the Raleigh area, so I got Falls, Harris, and Jordan.
Yeah, well, yeah. You don't want to
lakes.
go to Norman if you got those three.
Well, they're dirty lakes too, and they're fairly shallow and dirty. And at Norman, the water, when we fished, the water was down 5 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet, and it was super clear down on the. It was a rough tournament for me, but those local guys, killed it. I mean, they were out there. One guy said he probably caught 75 or 80 fish, but they were all 15, 16 inches. He couldn't get in the 18s.
I love Norman. You can get on the Google Earth on Norman and look at the historical imagery and figure out which docks are dug out. Have you done that? Did you do that?
No. I went out and fished out of I can't remember the damn ramp now. Towards the southern end, towards the dam, and it'll come to me. And there weren't a lot. See, that's where the rich people live, so there weren't a lot of docks. I wanted to go out and fish the points.
Okay.
And it did not work out for me. If I caught my first fish like 20 minutes in, nice 16-incher, and then not another bite the rest of the day is pretty heartbreaking.
That's like Thrift's domain. A lot of the stuff all looks the same, and after I fished that, I was like, yeah, I see why Thrift does well in this style of fishing.
What puts Norman in your top ever lakes?
I love spotted bass. I love that you get bit, but it's tough to catch a bigger one. I loved how patternable the fish were. I loved how there were 3 or 4 different patterns that you could have success on: brush piles, shoals, docks, topwater. And then I'm a big wacky wormer and drop shotter. So I love the fact that there's no grass in it, and that you could go into a pocket that looks identical, and once you ran a pattern, you knew every single dock where the fish were going to be, and you could just hit 100 spots a day. I loved it. Yeah,
that's that's a little bit harder for us to do in kayaks, to hitting 100 spots a day when there's a pattern on that. We get stuck in an area. I love topwater too. That's when I went out there with. I had the number 7 spook on, and was hoping that they were going to pull up on some points, and I was going to be able to catch them early on a spook. Yeah,
it is right there.
I've got 6 still in the pack up there, and I got 2 in the boat with me at all times.
This one's cool. Here, I'll show you this one. So back when this went down, Frank painted. He painted a dozen of them by himself. So like that one is an original paint job. Like that came out of Frank's basement, and then he even signed the bottom of it. So it says number 8, Frank A. Scalish, 12/22/21.
Because Mark got the first 2, Frank got the 3rd, right?
Frank got the 7th.
Okay.
And I think Frankie got the 3rd or 4th. For those who don't know, I mean, it was a spook. Jeffries, who I co-hosted the shows for 17 years. Long story short, he had a traumatic brain injury, and when he came back, he was normal. And I said I was afraid that he was going to say that his favorite color was 7, which was highly inappropriate yet humorous. So Frank, in honor. So you know the whole story about like the sides on that. The BTL was 17 years old at the time, so there's 17 stripes on each side of it.
Yep.
For each year of BTL, and then it's orange, and then purple was the original Bass Zone colors. So it's got the orange and the purple, which were kind of like some original Bass Zone stuff, and then on the throat of it, it's got the number 7.
Yeah, it's a beautiful bait.
Kind of cool. That was a debacle. We were joking. So when that went live, they did it on LureNet, and LureNet has this thing called the paint shop, and they do 300. Like that's it. Every paint shop is 300, and it's a 1 run and you're done. And we were like, guys, we've been pumping this thing up for like 2 years, and there's enough, like BTL listeners and Frank fans, like you're either going to have to like, this is not going to go well for you guys, like on the website side. And we're like, we're going to have a bunch of angry people that want to get a number 7. And they're like, we're good. So like literally we timed it to go live at 10 a.m. And Frank was in studio, and the show ended at like 9:58. And it's like, we don't see it. And So we're like watching it and we're like, okay, hopefully this goes the way we planned. And Frank made a joke. He's like, what? Actually, I made the joke. So wouldn't it be funny if we crashed their site? and we freaking did. In 3 minutes, we sold out of them, and the system had never seen anything like that. So it thought it was a glitch. So it kept restocking it.
Oh, shit.
So they sold, there are 300 of them. It sold out in 3 minutes. And then they sold an additional 1,100 before they could shut the system down in like 18 minutes. So then they had to go back, and I'm like, crap, this has like BTL's name on it, and we've been pumping it, and everyone's pumped that they got it on the original 300. So then they had to go back and send like a letter or they individually called. That's what's good customer service.
Yeah.
A lot of the people, and we're like, listen, like, this didn't go as planned. So then based on where they had it made, it took another 6 months to get another, I think 1,500 made, and those are all gone too. They sold out pretty quick, but did you get the original run or did you get the second run?
I think I ended up with either 6 or 8 of the original run. I
Nice.
just hit the plus button, check out, and had all my card information saved and hit submit, and I got mine.
No, but it was pretty funny for a while, because then we were like, oh geez, because then I started getting like all these emails that were like, what the hell? It said I got it, now it said I didn't, and but that was the power of Frank Scalish, man. He's something else. Yeah,
and Frank kept teasing us for like months and months. Oh, it's just around the corner. It's just around the corner.
Well, it was because those custom colors that they do have to be like a year out, like at least a year out, and then it takes them forever. And that paint scheme was like, actually it was like layered weird to where it took them longer, and they don't typically do it on that paint scheme, but we got the job done. I don't think he's announced it yet. I think we'll announce it. I'll announce it on the show. I think he's going to have 100 of the color 7s at the Tulsa Classic, and the first 100 people in the Pradco booth, when he's there, he'll sign the top of the lure and you get a number 7 for free.
Oh shit! Damn, when is that? I might need to make a trip out to Tulsa.
March, middle of March.
Yeah, I'm not making that.
Yeah,
that's that. Damn. See, now that would be awesome to be able to go get one signed by Uncle Frank.
Well, that's at the last classic. A bunch of the guys in, was that Knoxville?
Mm-hmm.
There were probably a dozen people that brought their 7s and had a silver Sharpie. Well, the back of this thing is dark purple, and Frank and I were standing there, and we, he signed them. He didn't. Oh, that's a new one. I haven't opened that one yet. This is the old one, but the back of that thing is like black, and it looks really good because he's got that like kind of not calligraphy, but like the lettering signature, Frank A. Scalish. That looks really good down the back of that spook.
I love, out of all the lures that you've had and that you fish with, you've got like 2 or 3 of the number 7 spooks back there.
Yeah,
right within arm's length behind you in the studio.
Yeah,
but studio looks good too.
And then I got one of the OG Brian Kirchhoff fish whistles that I got at the 98 Classic from Kirchhoff's dad when he had a booth at the Classic. From when he won the Classic in 94.
So do you have a collection of lures that are collections that you don't fish with? Like a room somewhere where you just have
not a room. I don't have that many. I have probably 50 or 75. Like I've got some I got a couple like OG barely legal Vixens. Like I got a Lime Ice barely legal Vixen original first run naked chick on the package, like black packaging. I got that from Brian Snowden. I did 3 days of camera work, and I had like a daily rate, and I'm in his garage at the end, and I just was like, if you give me that lure, you don't have to pay me anything for like a day and a half full of work. And he was like, I mean, he was hard to part on it, but he did. And then I've got a couple wiggle warts here. This is a cool one. This is the first actual like chatterbait packaging, not the original one, but the first one that Z-Man was packaging. It's still got the Brian Thrift talking about how he's the Southeast Stren Series champion on it. And this one is still owned by Rad Lures, which stood for Ronald A. Davis, the inventor of the chatterbait.
Oh.
And it was packaged, and then it was the first one with the Elastec from chatterbait on that.
Oh, nice.
So that's from like 2004, 2005.
Man, if you open that up, the skirt would probably fall apart. You know,
The skirt will fall off, and those OG hooks just broke right at the bend all the time. Broke right at the bend all the time. What else do I have? Oh,
what's on the Wheaties box?
That's Denny Brower.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, it's blocked. The Pommy Special. That's a big time I think Marlin Lure Company made it, and it was it's a spinner bait that you can fish like a buzz bait, and it goes bloop, 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 based on like it's like a real short arm, real hard.
Oh shit, okay.
Yeah, Wired to Fish did an article about it like 5 or 6 years ago, but that's from like the 80s. One of the listeners ended up sending that to me in the quarter ounce, but like the half ounce is the money one on that. That's probably like one of my most prized possessions.
We have I say we had Aberdeen Bait and Tackle, which is a store over here in Aberdeen, North Carolina, and it's like it's a well, first of all, they got eminent domain. And so tomorrow is their last day open. But when you walk in, it's a hole in the wall. It's a big shack. It's like 3 shacks put together. And when you walk in, there's a cat sitting beside the register, a live cat. Behind it. Yeah, there's a parrot. And then there's 2 or 3 other cats in there in cages. And then they have every Zoom color ever invented. But what I love, so I grew up in the mid 90s, some of the guys over there, and this is in South Carolina, so this would have been Lake Wateree is where I did it. But there were people deep cranking back in those days with the Norman DD22. And so I've got a couple of my original Norman DD22s from back in the day. But when I go in there, they had the old Norman packaging of Norman lures. They had so many, they were still there from, these are probably the early 2000 anyway. I sent Frank a picture of the rack, because it was like 6 foot by long by 8 foot high Norman.
Holy
Norman
cow.
cranks. And he was like, get these. It was the canary. So I bought all the canaries, and then I fucking lost them all. But Frank got him to paint more canary Normans last year or earlier this year. So I bought a shit more. But I would send Frank pictures of them. I was like, which ones do I need to get?
He's really like this, doing the day 4 stuff on Bass Zone and kind of reconnecting with a lot of the listeners, like fan base. It kind of, I think, gives him, because heck, when you're in it at the top level, you got to miss that, I would imagine. You know what I mean? When it's gone. And then to have that, but through it, and then, you see like the number 7 and stuff, and it sells on LureNet and Pradco. I'll say it, they've started listening to him more. Well, he knows the colors that everyone hits him with and all that. So he now can say, hey, we need to bring back this and this and this. And they, from what I understand, they're more like, okay, we'll get in on that. Because he's a freaking fisherman, man. And he talks to fishermen.
Well, I mean, look, here's the deal. He paints lures.
Yeah.
Like he knows what works.
Oh,
he's got somebody that's been at the highest level, and he paints
so
lures,
talented
and
at drawing and painting, and like you see his shop like down in his basement and stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, that was anytime that Uncle Frank says something about a lure, I usually go try to snag up a couple and put them in the box. Even though,
and here's the thing, like I fish with him, he's not a guy who like lip services it and then like pulls out the mega bass and stuff. Like that's what's in his boat. Like that is the only thing that is in his boat. Now there's a few exceptions, of course, but 98% of everything that he throws, like what he shows on the show, what's in his boat, that's it. That's the only thing he's got in there that he's throwing 365.
Yeah, and I love that he loves Norman, because that was like the original deep diving crank back in the day.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what started off. Well, actually, the original deep diving crank was a spoon plug from the 50s and 60s. But that was I wonder
what the progression was, because I mean, you'd have to get the Mans had a big one in there, and Poe's had a big one, and I'm sure You don't want to start getting out there on like the hand carved deep diving, but I'm talking about like the mass produced deep diving ones. It would have to be, I think, like Pose and then Mans and then the DD22.
I guess I don't. I just knew the DD22, so I wouldn't know the other ones. But then again, that was considered deep cranking back in the day, and those things are only like 15-foot runners.
And but the thing is, you can chuck them. I just remember, when I throw them good, like I love throwing a DD22 because it's like throwing a freaking casting weight.
Yeah. Well, they got that gel coat on them, so they're heavy. They're big, heavy baits. They got the big ass damn lip on them.
Did you lose them fishing or like?
Oh, hell yeah, fishing. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I do not buy lures that I don't fish with. Like, I'm not scared to lose a lure. I'm gonna buy a lure. I'm fishing with it. If I got
I haven't gotten this one wet yet, but this is a Butch Brown color of the depth slide swimmer in the 175. I haven't gotten that wet, but that's one that's like that I'm looking forward to getting wet. Yeah. I don't have a bunch of those. I've gotten away from the swim baits. Oh, this is a cool one. So
it's hard to throw those swim baits on your spinning tackle.
Dude, I threw a bait caster so much this year, people would be shocked, and I still sucked. So Matt Steffen, when he was here, he's like, "You want something that's unique?" He's like, "This is my muddy water special," and I was like, "Dude, don't BS me." And he's like, "No, seriously." So it's a chartreuse crankbait. And he puts a small spinnerbait arm above it.
What the hell?
So when it's cranking, it goes through the water like that, and this blades are spinning, and when you pause it, bouncing up against the crankbait and stuff. So you tie it like that, and that's what it looks like.
All right, so for the people that are listening, you need to go look at this on YouTube. It's 26 minutes and 45 seconds in. All right, what day is it? Like a beetle spin?
No, it's like a small. It's like a small Strike King with a number 4 willow and like a what does that say? Let me see. Oh, I got the dang hook stuck in my notepad.
That's some shit that you would see.
A 1.5 Colorado, and then he cuts the deal short and ties it to a 2.5. I mean, it's pretty decently sized. Like, I mean, think about like muddy water cranking with the shads like going up in there and stuff and like cranking it, and he said it freaking slays.
And was he throwing it like 5 foot or less?
Yeah, yeah. That's wild, isn't it?
Yeah, that is super wild. We'll have to talk later, and I'll have to figure out how to make one of those so I can go through it because I suck.
I think he did a video on it. It's really simple.
I'll have to look. Okay.
That's it.
Neat. Huh. Look, that's the kind of shit you got to do nowadays to try to get a head up on the competition is doing weird stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
In the opens that you fished this year, did you do anything out of pocket, out of the norm, weird shit like that during any of the opens?
Yeah, I power fished the whole time, trying to catch bigger fish. I mean, outside of the first one on You Follow, where I kind of just saved my butt, I ended up catching 17 pounds on the second day on a big Ned. But I mean, I caught a 4-pounder on a 6XD. I punched them all. I caught a couple scoping, but I punched the majority of them on 60-pound braid on the one that just sucked, Watts Bar. I caught him skipping a jig on 25 at Lake of the Ozarks. I'm looking at the schedule to try to remember the rest of the year. But I mean, I power fished the whole year and I still caught 12 pounds a day. Like people are going to think all I do is that I just drop shotted 12 pounds a day. And I like went big and still caught 12 pounds. It was the weirdest thing ever. Like I had good execution this year. I caught him. I just averaged 12.007 pounds a day.
What did you need to average?
Like 13 and a half.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is a big, like 13 and a half, 14 a day, which is a giant jump from 12.
Yeah. What do you do different next year?
Nothing. Just hope you get on a roll and put yourself in position to get the bites.
I'm
Like-
assuming you're fishing all 9 again.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I'm jumping in all 9 again. The first 3 are pretty savvy, right? Back to back, basically, is Okeechobee, Washita in Arkansas in February, and then Santee Cooper the 1st of March.
That Santee's going to turn. That might line up good. If you don't have that cold front come through on Santee, that's going to be that might be a slugfest right there.
Yeah.
Arkansas in February though. Woo,
Yeah,
that might be sporty.
I feel like that could be one of those where it's like, oh, we lost 4 trucks on the boat ramp today.
Which one are you looking forward to fishing the most coming up?
St. Clair.
Mm.
St. Clair
Get
will
some
be
big
kick ass.
smallies.
Yeah. Yep. I've never done St. Clair. I've always typically done good on. I didn't have lime, so I had to go with the damn lime beer.
I was about to say, what the hell are you putting
That's
in
a
your beer?
Pacifico. I'm a Pacifico guy. It is Bass and Brews. So
What are you putting in there?
Just lime salt
Oh, okay. Huh,
on a
interesting.
Pacifico.
Yeah, we have really failed at being the brews part of fucking Bass and Brews this year. In that we,
Yeah, I know. I
talked
got
about it in beer.
all ready for it. I went out. I got a 12er of Pacifico, and I don't ever typically drink on air. And then I went through. I got my 50th anniversary edition Bassmaster koozie. Then if I didn't want to use that one, I've got my Lake County, Florida one. If I didn't want to use that one, I got my Lake Amistad one. And if I didn't want to use that one, I got my Ike Live one.
You should have just put a beer in all of them, and just
cracked it up down and just knocked them down.
Look, yeah. I mean, that'd be great. That is our theme for this year, was to be a bass fishing or a fishing podcast where we didn't really talk about fishing. We've done
That's
a
all
good
we've done
job
is talk
of it.
about fishing.
Well, Alex isn't here, so we can't really make good short jokes right now. And he's who knows how he's going to show up all flustered because he's already running late. He said he's going to be here at 8:15. It's 8:30, and then who knows? But we're going to get right for him to get here. Let's back up a second, because talking about live scope, you're about to get into crappie fishing this time of year in Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, that's my jam.
So Jordan Lake is one of the best crappie lakes in the Southeast.
Really?
Yes. And I'm a bunch of buddies that do it out of their kayaks. So this year I'm going to start doing some crappie fishing. And I went out Sunday for the first time. I wanted to catch some. I saw some guys catching them on the bridge. Went out Sunday, and I had my little ultralight with a little jig on it. I couldn't get anything, so I took my drop shot rig and put a little damn minnow on there. Second cast, I caught a 14.5-inch crappie.
Ooh.
I'm like, oh shit, we about to be on it. I didn't get another bite the rest of the day, but I brought that one home and cleaned it for my boy and deep fried it. But man, there's crappie fishing around here is something else on Jordan Lake. I mean, it starts now all the way into March. People be killing them, crushing.
What's your
there.
limits?
Shit, I don't know. I had never fished for them, so it's unlimited as long as you don't get caught. I mean, I don't know.
I got Zeke. Zeke's coming in the studio from he's worked for the Bass Tank. Now he works for Crappie Anglers International or something like that. But he's kind of one of the godfather pioneers of doing this thing where you chase him down with the scope 20 feet out, and you get behind him and you basically stalk him and then drop on him with a 16-foot rod. But I've never actually fished with him doing it, because that's how I catch all of them. I mean, I have a bait caster, a 16-foot crappie rod, 30-pound test braid, 1/4 ounce jig, 2X, 1/0 Gamakatsu hook in it. And then my buddy Juice, which is a funny story, his nickname's Juice Newton. We named him that in college. And then we found out it was a female country singer. So then it stuck. And so my buddy Juice, now we call him Juice Newton, the Newtster, all sorts of good stuff. His name's Jarrett, but he's got
that name doesn't count anymore.
No, he started a crappie tying deal called Juice's Jigs. You can follow it on Instagram. It's actually pretty good. So For the last like 2 years, he goes out at like 8 in the night, ties jigs till like 2 in the morning. Actually, he's gotten really good at it, but he can tie like big. We're talking like hair jigs like that, like 1/4 ounce pill heads and stuff. And you sneak right up on those fish and you drop it down on their head and you watch them you're literally putting it in like the size of that. And you're dropping it right on them and they see it and they come up and you just jack them as hard as you can.
So he's following them around. So are they Roman schools? They're not set up
No,
on
they're
structure?
individuals.
Oh, well, that's probably how the big one's set up then, huh?
It's just one fish in the ethos. That's the best way to describe it.
Well, that's what this one was because I didn't see shit on the graph
Yeah.
or nothing. I even tried to go out and catch some white perch so I can maybe flay some of those up. But
I just caught, where was I? Where I just caught I caught a white, I can't even remember, but I caught a white perch this year somewhere. And I never caught a white perch before.
Huh. Well, if you come down,
it's like a white bass without bars.
Yeah, I call them, they're like razor blades. If you catch one, so we do a lot of blade baiting in the wintertime on Sharon Harris, and Sharon Harris has some humongous white perch. I mean, 13 inches, huge, fat. There's so much shad in there, it'll be fat. They shit all over the boat when you catch them, but you catch them on the blade bait, you know, those white perch, when you go to grab them, they flare out their gills, and their gills are like razors, and their back fin, the dorsal fin's like a razor. I hate those things, man. They're one of the worst fish. They'll tear up I've caught them on DD22s.
They're like a white bass, though.
Yeah, but they flop around, man. They're the number one fish around here that'll put a hook in your hand.
I caught them up on. I think I caught them up on Erie. They got them on Erie.
But I don't know. I wouldn't think so. I think they're warm water fish. I think up there they have yellow. I'm pretty sure they have yellow perch. I don't know if they have white perch, but we got to make sure we're talking about the same fish as well, because you know how anglers have different names for different types of fish.
Yeah, it shows that they have it on Erie. It's all East Coast. But mainly East Coast.
They're good eating fish. You can fillet them out, and they are tasty, just like crappie. Nice, flaky, light, good eating fish. But when they hit, they smack it. They are mean.
They're like big in the New England area. Paul Mueller's always catching those suckers out of like Connecticut, out of Candlewood.
Mm-hmm.
He's always scoping them out at Candlewood.
Have y'all done? Don't y'all do your y'all do a drawing or something for folks to come out and do crappie fishing? Have you done that this year?
No, it was a auction for the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I drew a dude in. He's down in Texas. Sent him all the stuff. We're just waiting on. I gotta wait till the weather's good. Right now it's too warm. It's got to get cold where they get out there and suspend, and then you want a cold rain. You want the water to get muddy, and then you can just go right up to them. They're just sitting out there not moving.
I think you're asking too much for rain this year.
It rained all day yesterday here. You guys in a drought there?
Oh my God, yeah. Our Jordan's down 5.5 feet. Yeah, it rained. So
is that good for kayaking today, though? Like you can put in anywhere you want, right?
I mean, yes, but still, you talk about bass fishing. You know, bass don't like low water levels that are dropping, so it still puts us into having to fish for them. I mean, the good thing is you can ride out there now and mark a lot of shit that's visible. That might not.
Did the BPT stuff screw up those lakes?
You know, I thought they would, but honestly, they haven't. They're all smaller lakes. That's why BPT can. That's why bass can't fish them. Is they're all smaller lakes, but they haven't, to be honest, and I don't know why. But last year at Jordan, starting in December, all the way up to March. Actually, this year, all the way up to March, it was taking 28 to 30 pounds to win tournaments. And it finally dropped off about the end of June. Even into June, it was taking 25, 28 pounds for them for the winners on Falls and Jordan. I mean, that's catching some bigs there.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look who's here. Look who's here.
Hey, what's up? Oh, you motherfucker, Paul. You fucking asshole. I would have ditched all of my adult responsibilities to make sure I was here on time if I knew it was going to be Matt.
What's up, dude?
Matt, this
What's
is
up? Hey,
Alex.
hey, we've never met.
Alex, this is Matt.
I'm gonna.
Alex, I think I was
gonna-
on with Paul before, but thank you for your service. He said
Yeah.
you were off doing Coast Guard things the last time I was on. So
I was, and yeah, I still haven't forgiven him for having you on when I was out defending his freedom, so he could.
well, you could
have
just
a
call
face
me
look
whenever.
like-
I mean, I do a freaking podcast and sit around at night and read college football message boards.
God, that sounds
Man, the
boring.
Hey, Alex, I know you're showing up late and you're a little flustered, and you know we have one of your heroes on tonight. Your
Yeah.
audio's fucking sucks right now. You need to figure it out. You have terrible background
What's wrong
noise.
with my audio?
You don't sound
There's
right.
no
You have terrible
background
background noise. We're professionals, and
serious?
you sound like this is the first time you've ever been on this podcast.
Fuck. Hey Matt, you want to do a shitty podcast instead of BTL
Well,
and all
I
that?
love this. We had a
important stuff?
freaking great time last time. I'm all good, man. I talk fishing 24/7 anyway, so
Yeah, Alex.
yeah.
I'm fair game for anything you guys want to talk about.
Uh-oh. Well, we're gonna start.
Hold on, let me back out and come back in.
Yeah, his audio sucks, and we are. If anything on this podcast, we're professional with audio, because Lord forbid anybody who watches it know that we look way too terrible to be watching.
He wasn't too happy with you.
Mm-mm. See, this is what you don't understand, Matt, is I give him so much shit all the time. And he's the only reason that this podcast is here, and the only reason it happens is because of him. So when he was gone, I did the podcast all by myself. And these podcasts dropped. Before he left, they dropped at 5 o'clock on Friday mornings.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to record on Tuesdays. Well, I would record some episodes Thursday night. And then I wouldn't they would get out at like Friday at 2 p.m.
Dude, it's the worst.
So the whole
it was
time
the
he was
absolute
gone-
worst.
Oh, you sound much better now. So the whole thing is like my whole thing when he left is like the only goal I have is to record a podcast a week. And we haven't missed a week since like episode 7. And you know what? I did what I told him I was going to do. I said, we're going to get a podcast out a week. And that's what the hell I did, even though it might be 5 o'clock. I'd get text messages from him. He's like, hey man, where's the podcast? I'm like, oh yeah, let me go put that out.
Where were you at the last, I guess, tour with the Coast Guard?
Yes. Yeah. So we've talked about. So I was at 19 years, and normally you get to kind of stay where you're at. And I was in the Philadelphia area, which is where I ended up retiring. So I thought I was going to get to stay, and I didn't. Coast Guard had another idea, and they sent me on the largest class of ship that we have in the Coast Guard in Alameda, California, which is in the Bay Area. So I've been on that class of ship before. This is my 3rd ship. Yeah, because I did 9 years at sea in my 20 years.
Wow.
And instead of uprooting the whole family for a year, it was a year of like living on the boat, no car, fucking no nothing. It was brutal, but
Wow.
it was actually a good way to go out. That's how I came into the Coast Guard. Like I stepped on foot. You know, my first unit in the Coast Guard was a ship, so I got to end on a ship. I got to leave the ship. Like we did a really quick ceremony on the boat above the Arctic Circle the day before I got out. So that was pretty dope.
Wow, congratulations.
He spent 20 years.
Well, I would say, I mean, I don't drink on the podcast. I get on Travis Manson's. I don't drink, but I brought, because it was Bass and Brews. I was telling him I brought a 12 or a Pacifico, and then I brought a wide array of fishing related koozies, along with from Amistad all the way to Florida, and then Paul, I sent you this before, right? When I said did I send you that when you asked me? I was telling you about the show.
Yeah. So you got a special announcement that you're going to try tonight, and I wish I could try it with you.
So I was down at the girlfriend's place in Fort Worth, and I fall in love with that Dallas Fort Worth because there's everything under the sun there. So we were in this liquor store, and we were looking for caramel apple, not seltzer. It was a caramel. What is like a apple drink? Anyway,
cider,
caramel apple, like a deal. Anyway, they had free taste testings. This is how big this liquor store was. You could go around and it was like a Sam's Club where there were just ladies just saying, hey, do you want to try any of these whiskeys? And I'm like, I'll try.
Sounds like heaven.
Those. It was unbelievable.
So it was like Vegas without having to gamble.
No, I'm dead serious. They had like a whole beer deal, a Kahlua deal, like a wine deal, a tequila deal, a vodka deal, and a whiskey deal. And you could
Hey, Amanda, we're moving to Fort Worth. They've got Costco of liquor. Yeah, we're moving tomorrow. We're moving tomorrow.
Massive. So one of the ones that I tried was this Kings Creek Tennessee whiskey cider. Small batch.
Yeah.
He said,
have you tried it yet? What's it taste like?
He said he was going to drink half that fifth tonight.
It's very, you have some very sweet tones to it, but it also smells very cidery. It smells kind of like a log cabin in Vermont.
Oh, what a description.
I'm going cold. Like you can either do hot or cold with it. So I'm just going to pour out.
So you can tell he wrote for a living with that.
I was about to say, Matt read that like he was on his podcast with sponsors, not our shitty podcast.
Give us a live taste test.
Dangerous. That's all I'll drink tonight. I haven't got that. That is very dangerous.
Look, if I went down to that place, I can guarantee you my gout would have flared up the day after because I would have drank all that shit.
So I'm not cracking this. I'm giving this to Juice Newton for Christmas. Log, you missed that story. It's a good story though.
Yeah, Alex, you missed the best 30 minutes of this podcast. Was before you got here.
This is standard proof whiskey. This is Texas pecan.
Oh shit, it's pecan, but go ahead.
Goodness.
Yeah, it's out of Nashville, but it's made with actual pecans picked in Texas. Pecans. Crappy. I'll talk like I'm from the Carolinas.
Oh God, Paul's on
Rye
it again.
whiskey infused with natural flavors. This stuff, lethal as well. That's what he's getting for Christmas.
That's a pretty damn good.
I would give him fishing talent, but you can't do that.
Well, I hope you get some special jigs from him.
He does. He hooks me up with the jigs.
There you go. All right, I want to take it back sometime to your early days, the early 2000s when the elites just started. Do you remember an angler called? His name is Darren Schwinkback.
Yeah, I'm buddies with the Schwinker. Dude, I fished a freaking tournament on the Niagara River with Schwinkback.
Hold on. Was that when he left the fucking boat floating down the Niagara River?
No, that was after he was already done there. He left 2 boats floating.
Yeah. We had him on the...
Yep.
All right. So I stayed with Bailey down at the Hobie BOS at Santee this year. And Darren was there.
Yeah,
and I met Darren.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I haven't
met
talked
Darren
to him in years.
Oh my God, we had him on the podcast like a month later, and his stories.
Oh, dude, they're real.
Out
like
of this world.
I don't care. So we get done fishing that tournament, and I'm there covering the Buffalo tournament, and we fish like a little Thursday night jackpot up the freaking river. It's river only, right? So we weren't messing with any of the Elite Series guys. And he's like, "You want to cross the border and go to a strip club?" And I was like, "No, I kind of want to like work the next morning." And he's like, "Come on, dude, I'll have you back by like 5." And I was like, "No, I literally have to like be on the water at like 6:30 for this." And he's like, "Come on, dude, it'll be good." I mean, this was long time ago. I don't know.
No, he probably still acts the same. If Bass and Brews had a mascot, it's Darren.
Yes.
So he played. Did he go into his whole minor league high? I have to go back and listen to that episode.
Yep.
Did he go into his whole minor league hockey and how he ended up with the jersey and AM's oil and all that?
Yep. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you what Paul told me. He's like, "Hey, I'm having this guy on," and I'm like, "This guy sounds like some old crusty dude." But all right, whatever.
Old crusty dude.
He is, but then I looked him up, and I'm like, "Oh, all right." Like okay, it's going to be like a standard episode. Boy, was I fucking surprised with the stories this guy came out with. And as he continued to drink throughout the show, it got looser and looser. It was so good. It was so good. I think he forgot he was on a podcast at one point.
Yeah, he's a legend.
So
he's like I said, I haven't talked to him in probably 10 years.
Oh, you got to holler at Darren. Look, at this tournament in Santee, he rolls by. And on his kayak, he has a walker, like an old person's walker, tied to the back of his seat.
Wait, he's fishing kayak tournaments now?
Yeah,
yes.
dude.
What?
He's fishing them.
Schwingbeck's fishing kayak tournaments now?
Yes, he's fishing them up there with Bailey. I can't remember the stories. Next time you talk to Darren, or actually next time you talk to Bailey, ask Bailey about
I talked to Bailey monthly.
Ask Bailey about when Darren started fishing the tournaments up there with him. About he was
that so he could stand up and not fall out?
Yeah, he put a fucking walker on the back of his kayak with a board on it so he could stand up to sight fish at CMT.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, he's doing pretty well doing the kayak fishing. He transitioned. He hasn't left one boat on the Niagara River, so that's a instant upside to his career.
But he only fishes to the spring, and then when the spring sets in, he goes and drives a tour van in Alaska.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
What?
I totally forgot about that.
He leaves in the spring to go to Alaska and drives a tour van.
On the left, you'll see a whale. That type of tour van?
Yeah.
It's like in country though, but yes.
Oh, so he's like inland Alaska?
Yeah.
He's doing like
Alaska, not on the
Yeah. So instead of a whale, he's like, hey, just so you know, my name's Darren. I once left a boat in the Niagara River, but if you look to your right, that is a bear waking up from its slumber. Look at it go.
Wait, there's people who go on tours on inland Alaska?
Apparently with Darren Schwinkbeck.
How did he get that job?
Bo,
I'm just going to go listen to the episode. We don't have to go.
He showed up
to that episode.
He showed up one day.
Tomorrow, I'm going to listen to that episode. Well, that made my night to know that there's a fairly recent Darren Schwinkbeck podcast.
We would give you a number to that episode.
Oh, you mother.
Alex,
I knew it.
Alex doesn't number our episodes, so we can't ever reference them
I don't
easily.
either, but I can probably do Bass and Brews Darren Schwinkbeck.
Yeah, Schwinkbeck.
You could probably just look him up. He's not on a lot of podcasts.
Look, here's the thing, too, for the new listeners that didn't listen to that episode. Go back and listen to it. But the second boat that he left, this is the Bass Elites, the first year of the Bass Elites. The second boat that he left floating down the Niagara River was the actual Bassmaster boat.
It was the Dirty Dozen boat that the Bassmaster Elite Series guys used on the final day of the tournament, like that all have the wraps. That was when they switched boats. Did he tell you that he caught him and he did all of his post-tournament interviews before letting anybody know that the boat was floating down?
Yep.
And literally was like, hey, so
where's the boat?
Yeah, I hate to do this to you guys, but that boat is probably close to Niagara Falls. And like there was like it was like an international incident. Like, I mean, there were numerous law agencies involved in this rogue boat.
There's a lot of
river.
There's a lot of mounted, Mounties with their horse on bass boats trying to wrangle this fucking thing off. Like I said, it's a real close second between a dumpster fire as our mascot, but I think Darren is our mascot, like fully.
He said he showed up with like 10 pounds and like, this is my livelihood.
Yeah, he needed a check there. I mean, that was his deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a hell of a good episode. I mean, the stories
if you guys like those stories, you need to get Chad Griffin on.
Chad Griffin. Give us a lead into a story that Chad Griffin would make fun.
Well, he won an Elite Series tournament throwing a pop R on fluorocarbon.
No shit. Wait, whatever works. He
was just kind of like Schwinkbeck, man. He towed for a half a year on 3 tires. Like, not like I had a flat on the way here, but like, dude, didn't you get that flat in Alabama? And now we're at Texoma.
I love it. I want more of that. I want more just country bumpkin just trying to cash a check to pay the gas bill. That's what I want.
Yeah. He's a really good dude. He had the Chad Griffin. He had his own line of jigs. I think he might still have some of his jigs and stuff. I think he's down in Texas now. He's been through some shit, but he's a good dude, man.
Yeah.
What did Frank talking about when he first started fishing? They were sharing credit cards for each other to get home.
Who's that?
After tournament, Frank. Was it his story that he was talking about back in the old days? They were like, they'd have to give each other, They were
I
sharing
know
each
there's a
other's
bunch of
credit
guys that when
cards.
they get started, they share their checks, like whatever they make.
Yeah.
So if one guy cashes one week, he gets
'cause they were staying
10,000.
in
He gives
hotels and
5
shit
to the other
together.
dude,
Yeah.
and if the next week, if the other dude cashes, he gives 5 to the other dude.
I mean, that's similar now, except for they just share waypoints.
Yeah.
Got real quiet on
Alex,
that one. Anyways,
see, Alex is a hot. So just for some background, because you don't know my elf co-host here. He's short. He's only 4'8", and he
Fuck
doesn't
you, I'm
tournament
not.
fish. He doesn't
don't.
tournament fish. So Matt,
No.
when it comes to tournament angling, he has no idea what he's talking about. So when he gives hot takes like this, it's literally from a standpoint of idiocy.
I would probably
I'm
prefer
just-
talking to non-tournament anglers right now with as much as going on in the industry. That's a refreshing. It's a tall glass of cold water right now.
Well, to be more refreshing, Paul, did you ask my new favorite question yet?
No, I was waiting on you to get into
perfect.
the chicanery.
So Matt, we've been playing this game recently called Marry, Fuck, Kill. Everybody used to play it when they were like 16, right?
Oh yeah,
And
I'm
I feel
very
like
familiar with it.
perfect. So this is going to be awesome because I feel like we can really tell a lot about a person. Normally we do this earlier in the show just to kind of see an icebreaker, see where the show's going to go. But let's play Marry.
You were late, so
I was
we had
late.
to talk about fishing before you got here. I had to make sure we got that out of the way.
Ugh, thank God we got done with
talked
that.
a lot of fishing. Like we showed lures, we talked techniques. Yeah, you didn't miss much.
Forward-facing sonar.
That's the worst. Ugh. Sorry. Anyways, so let's play Marry, Fuck, Kill. It's Bigfoot, Alien, or Loch Ness. The silence is solid. The silence.
No, I wrote it down.
He
wrote it down.
Yeah.
He's trying to figure out if he can get deplatformed or not.
I'm gonna kill the Loch Ness because
my man.
that can go on the wall. And,
Ooh, I like
that kind of matches like with the fish and stuff. So you could be like, here's my 10-pound largemouth, my 5-pound smallmouth, and the Loch Ness monster.
Which
Perfect.
Behind you, what would the Loch Ness replace on the 2 walls behind you?
Oh, behind me? You know what? I would probably suspend the Loch Ness from the ceiling.
He's got the.
So it would be like a 3-dimensional thing.
Because
like, I mean, listen, like I've got a lot of trinkets and a lot of stuff. This is, although it looks like chaos, everything has a very specific, there's a reason why everything is here.
Yeah.
So to speak, which you can tell a lot about what I actually like and what I stand for and stuff based on what is in the background of the BTL studio that I don't necessarily share on BTL regularly.
What's the purpose of the 3-spot sign on your left side that just says BTL, but you have 2 other lines that you could put stuff in, but you decided not to?
Okay, I'm gonna pull this drawer out.
Yeah.
These are all freaking letters that go up there. That thing was $10 and none of the letters stay up there anymore. And for the first 3 months of this year, the light hadn't burned out yet. And I would spend 45 minutes searching for all these stupid letters just to have like Jim tomorrow, BTL, or whoever the hell is on. And I realized that I would save a full 24 hours out of my life every single year if I just put BTL up there instead of put the numbers on it.
Yeah, that's
so.
One day I just got sick of it and I just said, nope, not doing it.
Well, you said everything has an emotional reason, so you keep it up there just to remind you of failure to keep you hump, correct?
No, that's probably the only thing. I just don't have anything that's slotted like that because I've got so much stuff like around it. You know, that I've got like my life membership for Bass, my OU certificate of graduation. This is actually a poster of Aaron and Ike that was done, and then a BTL listener, he passed away, and his wife contacted me and was like, hey, he had these in his man cave, are you interested in them? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So I put it up there, and then, you know, there's a bunch of little, like, this is the coolest thing. I don't know if you can see this right here.
Kind of hard as a glare, but
meanwhile, all we know, we haven't even gotten, so we've killed the Loch Ness, so we still have to marry it. And but anyway, this is. Oh, you guys will like this. You're a Carolina
diorama
guy. All right. Have you not seen this before?
No.
So I was big. I've got like a Zell rolling line ball. I've got like a rusted Mark Daniels Jr. crankbait hook. I've got like just little trinkets. So I was like, this is going to take off. And I want to do like meaningful memorabilia from the sport. So with the access that I had, it's Lake Hartwell, 2018, and Jordan Lee's literally rolling into the arena, and I'm behind stage, and I'm buddies with Jordan. I've known him since he was at Auburn, and I run up with an empty Mountain Dew bottle, and I say, fill this Mountain Dew bottle up with live well water, because I knew he was going to win just based on what everyone was saying. And he's like, huh? So he puts it in, it goes blub, 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 and he's heading into the arena to win the Bassmaster Classic on day 3. He tosses it back to me. I seal it. I put duct tape around it. I fly home with it. And then I had it actually certified. And then we took a picture of that. So there it is, certified. Yeah. So that is a vial of live well water from the final day weigh-in when Jordan Lee won the class.
That's badass. Hey, did you message him last week after Auburn, the Auburn football game?
I had him on the show, but I think I had him on the show before Auburn lost to the high school team.
Yeah. Hey, what years were you at OU?
That's a Division 4 team. I was on that team. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So let's okay, it was the Loch Ness Monster.
Damn, look, you have a professional podcaster on when he's keeping our show on track.
I just made a couple quick notes.
He's got some critiques for afterwards in the green room.
Boy, this is a tough one because it's a no-win situation. I'm going to go to town with Bigfoot just because that would make a great story. Be so like, I tracked him down and then I bent him over that cedar. So
you like the furry game, huh?
Yeah. I'm going that route.
This man just said he's bending him over the. It's a female Bigfoot, buddy.
I mean, no, hold on. It's 2023. He can be whatever he wants it to be. It's Bigfoot. Yeah. But hold on. Before you answer, you instantly said, like, you basically, like, I don't want, like, you're going to marry aliens. We figured that out with what's left, but you're like, I don't want anybody to know that I'm fucking Bigfoot, so I'm going to do it, like, off to the side. None of my friends see it.
Like, just because you're married doesn't mean you have to, like, spend a lot of time with them, so... I feel like from my experience with the people that I know, most married people are in separate rooms without much physical contact after a number of years. So
that's after kids.
Wow.
That's after, before
so
kids.
I feel fairly safe with that.
Yeah, before kids, you're safe. After kids, you might as well, put you in bed in the garage or
with the aliens. So I think that's a very well thought out response to that question.
That was one of the most laid out ridiculous answers to that. I think
he might be the first person though that killed Loch Ness besides myself. No, everybody else is fornicating the Loch Ness.
I mean, that would look good because you look like a cowboy, and then you have like the guys in the loch, and it's like foggy, and you're like riding it, and it comes out of the water, and they're like, "Is that a guy?"
Hold on,
Loch Ness. But
Paul, I'm pretty sure the originator. I'm pretty sure the originator, Alex Rudd, said to kill Loch Ness.
He might have
because he was
because he's in the.
But you're right.
Out of all of them.
No, you don't want that. It's too big. I mean, I get it. It's watertight. Everybody enjoys that, but Hey, speaking of watertight, can we get an update, Paul? Did we get any emails back?
What?
From Astroglide, did you get any emails back?
Oh no, I haven't done my commercial yet. So, all right, for those of you who don't know, I made a comment on one of Alex's posts that said I was a guest on a podcast, and I have like a unlimited supply of Astroglide. And Astroglide commented back on my comment.
Oh,
and
really?
Then, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I commented back and be like, hey, we're looking for sponsorship. They're like, send us your marketing proposal. So I've got to do a couple commercials like in my garage like this, you know, or maybe somewhere out and about. I'm going to do a couple and send them the marketing proposal with me doing.
Listen,
Matt. This is real life. It's on TikTok.
Yeah, Matt, you might have BassCat, but do you have Astroglide as a sponsor?
That would be pretty badass.
Look, if we get Astroglide, I'm going to pay for it and buy a bar light, one of those beer lights that light up. Yeah. I'm going to put that behind me that says Astroglide. And look here, I announced this to my family on our family group text. I said Astroglide commented on a comment of mine and twice. And nobody answered. And then my sister's like, wait, what? My mama said, Emily, don't. So, like, my wife texts me separately and goes, why the hell would you say that? And I'm like, I'm excited. Like, we potentially have a real sponsor.
Paying sponsor.
Listen, everybody talks about getting the non-endemics. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get a non-endemic.
Would you gentlemen like to hear my Astroglide story?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
I have to ask. Look, you just
fill up that glass with a little bit more. Fill up that glass with a little bit more whiskey.
I'm going in on that and a couple beers. So I had been dating this chick up at Lake of the Ozarks, which is just a very hilly region of the country. This is 6-7 years ago, and I had a friend who had a house up at Lake of the Ozarks too. Anyway, long story short. I'm up at Lake of the Ozarks. My truck breaks down. I have no way to get it. My transmission goes out. I have no way to get it back to Oklahoma. But my buddy who has the house lives in Illinois, where my parents live. So I'm familiar with that. They've got an auto body shop. I can tow it there. So I rent a U-Haul that is not rated for a Chevy Silverado. I didn't tell them that.
When was this? What year was this?
It's been like 6 years ago.
Okay,
7 years ago.
So fairly recent.
Yeah. And hook it up to his truck after the weekend. And we get this truck on there. And he had to like leave early. And we're towing this thing back at like 50 miles an hour on this rickety I mean, it's not meant for a truck, right? It's meant for like a compact. It says like not meant for this truck.
Was it the dolly where you just put the front the back two wheels up?
Yes. Okay. It was bad. It's not meant for it. And, I'm like, dude, he's kind of saving me, getting me to Illinois. Because, I mean, I had no other way to get back. And then what I was going to do was get back to Illinois, stay at my parents' house for the weekend, get a new transmission in the truck, drive back to Oklahoma. And we're like halfway through, and I'm like, dude, Tim, I appreciate the hell out of this. And he's like, yeah, it's good. And I was like, let me pay for your gas and stuff like that. And he goes, oh, you don't have to pay me in gas money. And he opens up the console of his truck and just pulls out a giant bottle of Astroglide and sets it right on the freaking console of the truck and just looks at me.
All right. Oh, hold on.
Dude, you can't make that up.
Yeah.
And then you walked home the rest of the way to Illinois.
No.
Yeah, right. He pushed that thing himself.
But who has that just hanging out in their truck?
That's what I'm saying. That's a solid joke, but does he do this a lot where he's just picking up people?
That's what I'm saying. How often are you in your truck where you're like, you know what? Like, that would mean that you miss some opportunities to use the product enough to where you were like, I need to purchase an economy size bottle of this product and then keep it in the vehicle.
Yeah, there's a lot. It just reminds me of that, like, what was that? That Jay and Silent Bob, The Rules of the Road, right? Like he was prepped for the rules of the road. It also got me thinking, though. It got me thinking that if somebody needs that much of it, and if we're going to get into this partnership with them.
Oh my God, my headphones just broke.
I just saw you break them. I just saw you snap them.
Oh my God, this is terrible.
I also saw that you went to the bathroom and didn't wash your hands again, you dirty son of a bitch.
I have hand sanitizer. I don't need soap.
But I think if we're going to make this relationship work with Astroglide, what we need is, like, you know how they used to have those mini kegs for Heineken?
Yeah.
So we need that, but we need Astroglide with the Bass and Brews logo on the side of it. So you could always have a mini keg's worth of...
I think that you guys need to call up Schwinkbeck and get him to do a couple read-throughs.
I think that would have mixed results. He'll be like, what is this? Back in my day, we didn't even use this. We used maple syrup.
I'm impressed. You've got probably the most solid lead in podcast sponsorship out of everyone doing a podcast in the industry.
Listen,
I'm not kidding.
Again, everybody keeps talking about non-endemics, right? And I get it. That's the way to go. And somehow Paul roped it in. If we can get this, it would be... probably uncomfortable for folks.
And then you said, oh, sorry. Paul's changed.
No, you're
Paul.
good.
So they commented, and then Paul saw opportunity and took advantage of it.
He did. Paul commented first. So I did a video under the Bass and Brews account, right? And Paul said, don't worry, I've got a lifetime of at Astroglide, right?
Is this on Facebook or YouTube?
TikTok.
TikTok. Oh, I don't do TikTok. I'm afraid of the China.
Well, that's a whole
Hey,
TikTok's amazing, dude.
Real quick, I'm back.
Yeah.
For this is
you need to hang that in the background, man. That's a
dude.
That's a trophy there.
That's a fallen soldier. Let that thing hang right next to the grip stick.
Hey,
right next to the straw hat.
Thank goodness I had a $120 pair of Beats that I haven't been using. I've been using the $19 Sonys, but the Beats for the win.
Yeah.
Is it bad that I picked my headphones out based on them having lime green on the side, and I have absolutely no idea if they're quality or not?
But the headphones
it is bad.
don't need to be quality if the mic's good.
No, I don't think that logic works very well, but...
So you added Astroglide, or Astroglide just happened to be watching the Bass and Brews podcast? Because that would be amazing, too.
To be clear,
just in the factory with all the just vats of lube, and they've got it playing over the system.
All right, so how this whole happened?
They are not a sponsor. They just commented on 2 of my comments on TikTok.
Yeah. Have you not turned it into? Have you?
We're working on it.
Didn't you say that they were like, "Hey, send us some stuff"?
They did.
Look, yeah, and you should see. I asked Alex for our marketing thing, and you should see what he sent me. So
great.
We're gonna send it in. But when we send it in, I'm still going to do like a couple commercials with me doing an Astroglide commercial to send with them so that they can see how...
If you guys have a meeting, I would like to request that you make that meeting a podcast episode.
Oh no. That'll be for the Patreon. That'll be for the Patreon.
Hey, we're in on this, but any correspondence we have in person has to be recorded for the show.
That's a good idea. Alex, write that shit down. Do you see he has a notepad? The reason we can't make any headway on this podcast is because Alex quit taking notes.
No. Yeah, exactly. I quit because I used to take notes there, Matt. And Paul was like, quit taking notes, you fucking nerd. Just pay attention to what's going on.
Look, this is my BTL book. Well, okay, so this was Hank Parker's show.
You're right. I used to do the same thing. And then Paul yelled at me, so I stopped. Yeah.
But there's a reason why you have folks like Hank Parker on yours.
Yeah, right.
And you are, the one of the biggest fishing shows out there, and we're Bass and Brews, and we just sit around and drink and have a good time, and we still have no sponsors. It costs Alex like $500 a year to run this podcast.
It does. It does. And I do it with all joy. I'm glad Matt, my idol, is laughing at me for it, but thanks for that.
I bet you. So Mark started this thing.
Mm-hmm.
He says 19 years, but I would say BTL is like 15 years. Right. I was there, I remember. But I would say, but before it was he had Skeeter with all that stuff, but like a podcast only paying sponsor that wasn't sponsoring the Bass Zone and it was podcast only, probably 5 or 6 years in. Mm-hmm. Like it was a while. It was a long.
I mean, it's a grind. It's a grind for folks, and I feel like some people make it. I don't know. Yeah, so some people like don't like. I think we talked about it last week, possibly, but like, so like TikTok and Instagram, you can get super viral and kind of famous pretty quick, right? If you do the trends and blah blah blah, all that stuff, right? And then you have the transition where people don't want to do the transition to YouTube because they're like, man, that's a lot of slow growth on YouTube, because it is slow. I mean, it's YouTube. It's a giant in the media whole sphere, right? But then you get to podcasts, and I tell people like, whoa, you really got to let that shit marinate, because
yeah,
like it's gonna be like, you gotta build like a catalog. You got to do all this other stuff. It takes time to do that, right? And it's still the best, I think. For me, I love doing the podcast because I can just fire and forget, and we get good comments or whatever. I don't know. It's not like the other.
Anyways, well, he's also a failed YouTuber, so the podcast actually did YouTuber. Something.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
That's what
they did.
Yeah, I mean, like, the majority of the BTO listeners comes from podcast downloads, not from YouTube. Unless you hit something, like you get a wheeler that goes to like a 30,000 show or something like that.
Yeah, we haven't done that, and we've barely done that.
Kind of how it is. Yep.
But I mean, there's like Zaldane's. Have you seen the numbers? The numbers Zaldane's been getting. I mean, they're averaging 20 to 40K a podcast or a show. Now they're only doing one every couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, but those are done really well. Those are like those podcasts that aren't like, those are YouTube podcasts. Those are, so I get it. You can get it audio.
They got like a 23-year-old kid that lives in their house. That's what he does. He's full time. Yeah. Like, they're like, hey, Charles, we good to go? And Charles has the 4 cameras set up, and he's behind a production desk, and he's like, yeah, let's roll. And then, they're done, and he chops it up and edits it all and does all that stuff. So, I mean, they have to be at least 60K in just on him.
Whew. All right, Alex, if you want to make it big,
it's probably only
working out about 60K, buddy. That 500 ain't going to cut it.
No. Hey, listen, Brewskis, if you'd like to be our Jamie, our production bitch, I will pay you 500 chewy granola bars every quarter.
He'll send you stickers 6 months after you ask.
What do you do? Just rip download the MP3 here and then run it through a rendering program and then toss it up on like a podcast platform?
He said a rendering.
No, we don't do any of that shit, dog. So we go through StreamYard, and we we just do audio only. That's it, man. We don't do any editing. I don't know if Paul told you. Like, we don't. Well, there was editing in last week's episode, but no, normally we don't. It's kind of like so Adobe, this is like, I guess if anybody wants to know anything of like the podcast industry, but Adobe's like has their new podcast software, and I played around with it, and it's pretty cool because they can cut the blank spaces out and the ums and the things like that, right?
Oh, really?
Yep, but you can only do an hour at a time, and since we're long form, that kind of is an issue because you can only do it an hour at a time, and it takes around 4 hours to render that audio.
So if you go, it recognizes that.
But there's another program that costs $30 a month that's much better. It's called Descript. Descript. Yes, I had Descript.
No.
Yes,
no.
I had Descript. It takes out all the ums, all the it will make the podcast flow. All you have to do is hit a button and it does it, and you have to choose what to take in or out.
Yeah. So I played with Descript though. The only problem with Descript is it's going to drop your audio quality a lot.
Yeah. So
if you have a good mic like we all do because we're all ballers, it's going to make you sound like you're talking on a Fisher Price mic. It sucks. I've tried that with ours. It sucks. The Adobe podcast one is really nice. The only problem is you have to wait a long time for it to process through. So,
well, that will never work for Bass and Brews because if you're gone again, there's no way I could ever get a podcast out on a Friday.
No, there's
Even
no
with
one.
the,
I'm
even
never.
with the week lead time that I have now, it was still get out on Friday at 9.
I'm not leaving anytime soon. But no, there's no fucking way. I can't even get Paul to. Paul was texting me before the show. I was in an important meeting, and Paul's like, "Hey, it's not connected to our YouTube. It hasn't been connected to this. Like we've shifted YouTube channels like a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, and Paul still can't fucking figure it out from the settings. He's literally like working with the Helen Keller of podcasts.
Dude,
he can't see
listen,
or fucking hear anything.
I'm on Paul's side on this because I'll have everything set up for everything, and I will log on, and I haven't touched a damn thing, and it'll be totally screwed.
Well,
yeah, but that's not this. No, everything's set up. Everything's set up.
Wait, even today we log on, Matt gets on here, and I can't hear him. And he logs off and on. He's over there pressing buttons on all his shit behind him. And I was like, well, let me go check my audio.
See, I've got like a whole...
he's got the board. Yeah.
And I'm joking with him like, is this your damn first time doing a podcast or something? Well, come to find out, something happened on my soundboard that did not.
I didn't want to say it,
so
but I knew that it was on your end.
No, it's 100%.
Because I had like 5 checks here. So like I was the mute's not on. I'm reading this. It says that I'm connected to the right.
No, it's always Paul. It's always Paul. Paul got a fucking mixing board.
I didn't fuck up the intro today.
Oh, good.
No, it was smooth. It was awesome. You had me on. We had a pre-production meeting. He told me how it was going to go.
Oh God,
it brought me back in. The intro, smooth as butter.
Fuck.
But I'm kind of disappointed because I did the intro and I did the intro like how Matt does the BTL intro, and he didn't perk up or say anything. Because when I said that this is the 3rd year of Bass and Brews podcast, yeah, we've never done that before. That was
here's what I was trying to do. I posted it that I was recording it, but I was trying to figure out if you guys were live on YouTube or not.
Oh,
but it didn't pop up live on YouTube.
Nope. Because so this is Paul. So this is also Paul being a Paul is uber entertaining. He is the worst at setting this up. Like, I make sure to send an email out saying, like, hey, it's a live broadcast, but it's not actually live.
Right.
We don't edit, blah. You know, I go through that whole
thing. On the podcast, I didn't have to do that shit. But, hey, we only have one live podcast a year, and it's the end of the year kegger.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so...
Matt, you should come out for this one. You want to come out for this one?
If I'm around, shoot me a...
Yeah, so
I've... Like, come out in person?
No.
Well, hell yeah. If you want to come, look.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
Matt,
actually, no. I don't want it. No.
He lives in New Jersey. You do not want to go do it there. Come to North Carolina. We'll go fish Sharon Harris Jordan and Falls, and we'll crappie fish and bass fish and catch 30-pound limits and unlimited.
Or you could
crappie.
come to New Jersey and fish with Mike Iaconelli and me.
On the Delaware?
No. By that I mean the one time I fished on his private lake on his house and I got kicked out. And now I have a vendetta against him.
Oh, really?
It wasn't him. No, it wasn't him. It was like the complex that he lives on has a or his housing development has a lake, and I fished it in the kayak and I got like cops called on me.
Would you just sit out in the middle and be like, "Come get me"?
Well. So I fucking should have. You're right.
Boo boo.
You know what? Fuck, where were you, Matt? Because honestly, I should have sat out there and been like, bitch, I'm Coast Guard. You should have been
like, okay.
I'm Coast Guard. This is my jurisdiction, bitch.
See that perch?
Yeah. Yeah, so when I rode to shore, they were like, hey, you can't be here, blah, blah, blah. So then I turned that into a personal vendetta that I catch more fish than Mike Iaconelli. That's why he doesn't want me on his private lake.
I think Vegas is going to be able to hold his own pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Vegas
sure that he's
going
to be he's going to be doing things in the fishing world very, very soon to be a young chap.
Okay, so Matt, you've you've definitely talked to Mike before. And I don't know if this has ever been brought up. Why is that kid called Vegas? Is that where he was conceived, or?
I believe so.
Okay.
You don't know they go to Vegas every year to renew their vows every single year.
They go somewhere. They renew their vows every.
Oh, is it not Vegas every year?
That might have been where him and Becky met.
Okay.
I don't know why I would know all this history about my mortal enemy, because I catch more fish than him in the South
he's
Jersey
Alex's
region.
mortal enemy, and he's my fishing legend. If you ever
have
ask
you ever
me
fished a yak tournament against him?
No, because
Alex doesn't tournament fish.
I don't do tournaments.
You
Me?
Paul?
No, I haven't been. I haven't been at any of the tournaments. Yeah, I haven't been at any of the tournaments he's on. He's been at. No, I haven't.
And also, he's not my enemy. Like, I'll be clear. Like, it's all a facade. Like, if Mike Iaconelli is like, I want to come on this show, I'd be like, huh. Yeah, yes, sir. You can come on the show. It'd be real awkward and weird, and I have to explain how I've made fun of you for 3 years. But he's never given up. You know, he's never given up.
Do you guys remember when he was sponsored by Laser Lure?
No.
It was a long time. Was it like the 10s, 2010s,
yes,
right?
So he was sponsored by Laser Lure for a while, and it was a lure that shot a laser. That's why they named it Laser Lure.
Oh shit, Matt's dropping deep knowledge right now. Really industry secrets.
He came out with this color called Blue Bruiser, I think, for the Bassmaster Classic on the Red River. And he was going to win the Bassmaster Classic on this crankbait that shot lasers out of its eyes and was black and blue. So later that year, we were on Gunnersville for a media event back when all I did was write. And I mean, that's back when so I would, have a little recorder and we'd go out on the water and I'd take pictures of what I was going to write about. Do the whole
that was
thing.
back when he was relevant. Yeah.
If you don't, I'm telling you what, look, all right, I'm going to interrupt the story real quick, Matt. Alex and I have never met in person, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to slap him across the face like Will Smith.
How did you guys meet then?
I reached out to Alex on Instagram and said, hey, if you ever need a shitty guest for your podcast, I'm available. Yep. And like a month later, I was a guest. And then 3 episodes later, I was brought on as co-host.
Nice.
Yep.
It works.
It did. I completely wrecked his podcast world.
Kind of.
But anyway, go back to your story. Yeah. It's way more fun.
But anyway, we were on Gunnersville a couple of months later. And, so we're at the Classic where this laser lure deal goes down. And we're at the Red River. And we've got the wide open booth set up in the Skeeter dealership. And in the Skeeter dealership, they have a hog trough in there. Mm-hmm. And they've got all these fish in there. And they were bringing in, it was like Duckett and Iaconelli and one other guy, but they both were like title sponsored with Laser Lure. And they would get up all day, and we were shooting Bassone stuff, shows all day. So we had to hear everything, and we'd go live in between them. They'd bring all these people would come in. It was like adjacent to the deal. And they'd get up there and they'd throw these laser lures in the water. Boom, see the laser shooting out of the eyes, and the fish would just come up and just smoke them without hooks on. And they're like, oh, look, the fish love lasers. And no, this is true. Look it up, laser lure.
No,
and people want to talk shit about forward-facing sonar.
No shit. I think it's interesting.
Finish, Alex. Shh, let him finish. Interrupt.
No, it's so anyway. Harold Allen, who was our co-host there at the end, we're like, they're shutting down one night and no one's in there, and he's like, I'm sick of this laser lure shit. He goes, watch this. And he looks around, and there's a rod with the laser lure on, and he cuts it off, and he ties a freaking pen to it like this. And he casts that thing out, and he reels it across, and they come up and just destroy the ballpoint pen. And he's like, see, it has nothing to do. So anyway, a couple months later, I'm at that media event with Ike, and he's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, before we do anything, you have to actually catch a fish on a laser lure.
I love that.
To a hump, and he's laughing his ass off. Sure as hell, he catches a 2-pounder, and then he cuts it off, and we do all of our stuff.
I think it's great how you have that insight too, because you have to have seen some of the bullshit that comes out, and I get it. Like it's supposed to grab people. Like I understand the business side of it, right? But like as fishermen, you gotta sometimes look at it and be like, what? Mm-hmm. The fuck are we doing? This does not make sense.
Dude,
and it's cool that you have that perspective.
There was this dude God, and it would have been 2009, 2010 maybe. So there was this guy that some of the guys started showing up and they had all these patches on. Let me see. I can't, there's no way I can remember the name of this. This was big back in this year. This was a big deal. He's throwing around all this money and he's sponsoring all these, like, the older guys out there and stuff. They're getting on stage going, you know, I caught 2 bass the last 8 years and I put these patches on my knees and now I'm weighing in limits. And it was like this health and wellness guru, and he walked around in one of those t-shirts where he cut the straps out, so it was just like lats and arms and, like, you know, cut all the way down.
That's called the that's called the Philly tank top.
Yeah, and he had and he was ripped, and he had this bus, like a full-size bus that was wrapped with these magic patches that was supposed to make you, like, pain-free and superhuman. And he had all these guys wearing these, like there'd be 20 guys that would go up on stage and be like, yeah, you know, I caught that 8-pounder. See this patch right here? Gave me the energy I needed. You know, I wouldn't have been able to lean down there. And it's like, it's, you know, it's prolonged my career by 20 years and stuff. So he just is there, like, every day. He followed the tour around and he's sponsoring all these guys. These guys are like, dude, I'm like making mega money, but none of them had ever actually seen. Oh, dude, you want to go into some scams? Oh, dude, I got a freaking great one. I got a freaking water guy too.
Oh yeah,
yes. We want to hear all the
great one. This involves dropping a guy off at a hotel he didn't even stay at, and then I'm leaving, and he's walking across the freaking hotel, and he's like, not even from this country. It was wild. Okay, back to the patch
patches
guy. So he, like, shows up for 3/4 of the year, and I mean, he's like promising these guys all this money. They've got all these patches. I mean, they're like patches. Like, I don't even know what the hell they were.
Like stick-on patches?
Yeah,
like
the
shit athletes wear now, where, like, it's like
they were like, they had like magic stuff inside of them,
like copper.
Like,
is it the old copper stuff that Brett Favre and Jerry Rice were pushing years ago? The copper sleeves and
similar.
socks
It was similar to a copper.
But it was a patch
type thing.
Okay,
but it was a patch. And then, you know, he had, you know, $250,000 wrapped RV, and it would be there, and, you know, it was like, and then he didn't show up for a tournament. We were all like, oh, I wonder where this guy is. And then it turns out he got freaking arrested for, like, a giant freaking Ponzi scheme, like, with all this stuff. And he's like, he's in jail. Never heard from him again. And the next tournament, no one had patches on.
Hey, listen, Magic Patch Guy, if you'd like to sponsor a podcast, Bass and Brews is available.
Do you want to hear the alkaline water guy?
Yes, I want to hear the water story.
Absolutely.
Okay, this one, there's still some guys that are sore about this one. So he came on and he title sponsored. So he was French Canadian, I want to say.
The worst French.
And I have a bottle somewhere. I don't know where it is. I can't remember the name of it. It was some sort of water, but it was like that alkaline deal water. But he did like a big deal, and I want to say, I know it was with Edwin and Dean. It might have been with Alton Jones too, but I know it was Edwin and Dean. We're talking like title sponsor money. And they're like, this guy came on. This is this big giant water company. They want to get into the outdoor industry. This is water that rehydrates you better than water, was their push, right?
Right.
Got a nice slick bottle. It's like, you know, he's got these guys out there talking about how, you know, I felt really alkaline out there today until I chugged 3 of these things. And he shows up. So he shows up to a tournament. Where the hell were we? We were in Florida. I know this. We were staying at a trailer park in Florida.
Like a double wide trailer park.
We were staying in a double wide VRBO because the like Clem and Nancy next door invited us over for meatloaf. Because we had like the big boats there and stuff.
Ma, where's the meatloaf?
But I had to go pick this guy up because he flew in from Canada, and he was there to like do all these deals with these big time pros. And so I go to pick him up, and I was picking him up at like the Days Inn in Florida. And he's like, hey, I'll be at the I got his number, and he can barely speak. He speaks English, but it's thick. And he's like, just pick me up at the gas station in front, which I didn't think anything of it. I just assumed he like walked out of his room or whatever. So I pick him up, and he comes back, and then we have this dinner with, it's just bizarre dinner. So it's like me and Rojas and this guy named like Jean Paul, and then like Clem and Nancy, who are 80-year-old who live in Florida. And we just happen to be VRBOing next to them. And they wanted to have like a dinner with the Bass Pro, right?
They look like they probably had the red Florida 70-year-old wrinkly skin.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Looking like leather. Looking like leather.
Smoking Marlboro Reds.
But I just remember this because this guy just was talking about some weird shit, like all dinner. Like, we're looking at each other like, is this guy like on shrooms or what's going on? But you know, you got to humor him because he's paying these guys big bucks and stuff. So then I go to drop him off at the hotel afterwards, and I just get like weird vibes. Oh, this was the thing. He asked to borrow money because his wallet had been stolen at the airport.
What?
You got Nigerian.
So, how does he get home?
Hold on, you got Nigerian prince at a fucking
this is where it gets weird. So I drop him off at the gas station, not at the. No, I said I'll just drop you off at your room, and he's like, no, you don't have to. Just drop me off at the gas station. I'll walk. I'm gonna get some beer at the gas station and then go to my room. Okay, whatever. So the next day, I'm in the media trailer and I'm talking to dudes, and I said, you know, this guy, blah blah blah. Poor guy lost his wallet, and one of the other dudes is like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, okay, so he's doing a deal with a guy that I represent, and he flew down, and I was there, and he lost his wallet that time too.
Oh shit.
And I'm like, what? So now he's flown to America twice, and twice he's gotten pickpocketed at the airport in a row. So I have to go pick him up the next night because he's back for dinner. We go back, we have dinner. Turns out the guy, it was a complete freaking farce. Like, no one got paid. He was taking water and like repackaging it.
Perfect.
Like just like pouring water into the bottles with the packaging. Yep. And he was like a super fan who just wanted to be around fishing, had nothing to do like with the water industry. So the next night when I dropped him off at the hotel, and I went down the road, and when I went back around, he was walking across the hotel parking lot away from the hotel, like into a vacant lot.
Yeah.
And then it gets even more bizarre. Then he no-showed the third day, and we have never heard from him since in the last 15 years.
Damn. Because I'm trying to find a water sponsor, and this guy sounds perfect.
Listen, I can verify this story with like 4 or 5 different guys.
That's wild. That's absolutely insane that shit like that happens in a sport.
Like
in the in the biggest fishing realm of
well,
fishing.
I mean, if you're a pro and a guy's like, hey, I represent this massive, like, I mean, I did a deep dive into this afterwards, like on Google and stuff like that. And it was all a farce. It was just fake.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So we got magic patches.
Yeah.
And we got alkaline water.
And we got laser lures.
Which was, I mean, it was a legit. They sold them. They were in all the major retailers and stuff. They just didn't last very long.
Well, I mean, how long do the lasers last? I mean, what do you got, little watch batteries in there you got to replace and shit? Are they watertight? That just doesn't seem
there are some quality control issues, I believe.
Hey, real quick, what years were you at OU?
I came in 05 through 08.
I played at Oklahoma in 2001 football.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So you were there the year after they won the national championship?
Yep.
I did not know that.
Won. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why they won, because he was off the team.
Nope, it was after the year, dumbass.
Really?
Yeah. 2001, I can't remember. Y'all had a linebacker, Rocky something or another. Yeah, that was the first game, 2001. We played us against Oklahoma. We ended up getting beat, but we had a good second half and made it closer than a lot of people thought.
Paul didn't play any of the fucking game though.
Yes,
he
I
was
did.
The
I played
third
2
string.
games. Thank you.
He was the third string
Second
fucking
for
punter.
2 years. I played in 2 games. Alex is just mad because he spent 20 years in the Coast Guard, Matt, and this motherfucker can't tie a knot on a fishing lure to save his life.
You son of a bitch. I definitely can.
No,
Can you do that thing like when you're docking and you just like toss the rope and it goes?
Yeah, Alex, can you do that?
Have you seen those videos?
Yes. Hell yes. Awesome. Alex can't do that.
Like they get it ready like that, and then they like toss it out, and the rope just goes right around, and it's like docked.
What knot is that, Alex?
That's not what I did in the Coast Guard. So no, I can't do that. Yeah.
He fixed toilets.
I feel like I had such a high expectation of this episode when I saw Matt, and now my dreams are very broken. Because I feel like he's making fun of me because I can't do.
No, I wasn't. That was serious. I didn't know. I thought that like you had to do that even if that wasn't your job.
No, I mean I can't do it the fancy way. I have done it before, but not the fancy way. But that's not what I did in the Coast Guard. So.
Okay.
Most of those guys that do what you're doing, I think it's a bow line. But your tree guys,
a bow line,
your tree cutters, those are the knot guys. Hey,
no, I mean the knot guys are boatswain mates. In the Coast Guard, they're boatswain mates. That's not what I did. I found people and things. That was my job.
I got you. So you had a cool job. Still have a cool job.
No,
not anymore.
No,
He's a civilian.
Okay, I definitely don't have a cool job at all, and it's the best job ever. No, like, yeah, we just did. I was an operational specialist, so I did. We were like the, in the movies when they're sitting in a room and it's all blacked out and you just see like red light. Oh, yeah. There's a bunch of radars and stuff. That's what I did.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. He was one of the people that they based the Hunt for the Red October on.
No, I mean that's. Yeah, I mean, so the Coast Guard doesn't.
Submarine.
Yeah, Coast Guard doesn't have submarines.
Look for things that weren't supposed to be in the ocean.
Well, so when I was on land, my job was to look for people.
Okay.
Right? So I would use like computer programs and things like that to find people. I worked in a search and rescue.
You think you could
office.
find this guy?
Yeah.
The water guy?
I don't know who the water guy is. Maybe. Oh yeah, that water guy. If he's in the water, yeah. So it's really funny. And, well, maybe not funny. Did you know that Adrian Vina runs a commercial fishing business?
I did.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, his... How do I say this properly? Well, I'm out now. But, so they had an accident like 3 years ago. Did you know about that?
I did.
Yeah, so I was the search and rescue controller for that accident.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So serious stuff.
Yeah. When his the dregs basically caught and then ended up capsizing and sinking his boat he was conch fishing for. So that was my job on land.
He was what fishing?
Conch.
It's conch.
Okay, whatever, Paul. I'm not arguing with you.
The CH is a case sound. Conch.
Paul, I'm not arguing with you anymore about anything to do with pronunciation because you say salmon.
It's enunciation. It is.
He does say crappy.
Oh my God. How do you? All right, Pangrac. How do you say SALMON?
Salmon.
Salmon.
That's the right way. Nope, Matt, you're right. This fucking bum.
Listen, I'm weird because I was a hockey player in Illinois who then lived up north and then moved to Oklahoma. So
You're still
hold
right.
on. Alex, hold on. If you have a buddy and his name is spelled SAL, how do you say that?
Matt, that's for you.
Sal.
Mun. See? Salmon. Thank you.
But my mom was also an English teacher for 30 years, so there's all sorts of reasons why things are silent and
we
pronunciation.
talked about this. My mama is still an English teacher.
My mama said that.
My mama said all them alligators all ornery because
I mean, you could do the same thing to be like you say scared, but you also say scissors.
Scared.
Well, all right.
So that's a silent C.
Where I grew up, I worked with a guy. Well, I was in high school and worked at the wildlife refuge, and he would say,
"What did you do at the wildlife refuge?" He
would say "strike" instead of "strike," and "rule" instead of "fuel."
What? No, that makes sense.
Hey, real quick though, Panger, we asked you the fornicate, marry, annihilate question.
We did.
So now we have a sound bite, and you listen to this sound bite.
Oh, Paul, I love you. Thank you so much.
Angler. You're an angler. So we're expecting a better. We're expecting a better answer than last week's episode. But
be ready.
We have a sound bite.
Matt.
We have a sound bite coming up. Listen closely, and tell us what's going on this sound bite. You ready?
I love this.
Yep.
All right. 1, 3, 2, 1.
Oh gosh. Oh, that's a good fish. Oh.
Dude, I've been waiting for someone to do this for 10 years.
Who's going to who?
Who's going to who?
I've been waiting for 10 years for someone to do gay porn or guy landing fish. And it just happened. That made my night.
Which one is it?
I mean, it depends what you're doing with the fish.
It's oh man.
That is a Gunnersville. That's a Gunnersville fish getting punched out of the grass from a guy in a kayak.
Yep.
A local guy to me, Wyatt Hammond, So we had him on the episode a few weeks ago, or on the podcast a few weeks ago, and he says, "Hey, have y'all ever listened to fishing videos without the video?" And Alex and I both are taken aback a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, no. And so we're like, well, like reenact it. He wouldn't reenact it. He said, "Let me find the clip." And he played that clip. And that's what it was. He said, if you were to listen to bass fishing, but not watch it, like where would your mind take you?
Yeah.
It's very interesting. And that also shows like how out of shape most middle-aged white guys are too, because I mean you're reeling in a fish and it sounds like you're halfway up Everest.
My God.
I was the same way too. I was fishing with my buddy the other day and he goes, "Hey man, you realize every time you get out of the seat you grunt."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'm not saying that to like make you feel bad. I'm just letting you know."
Well, I think also if you look at most like hook sets and when somebody catches a fish, like when they're on a bass boat, they look so stupid. They hit it and then they like tippy toe and they're like working it around. And I get it. Like I get the whole process, but you look like a moron. And I think this just adds to it. I think it's amazing. This is if 2023 gave me anything on this podcast, it's this fucking sound clip.
Listen, I'm 100% on board with that. I think you should not only take that sound clip, I think you should search for other sound clips and incorporate it into your show. And it should be a segment. Porn or guy fishing. And then
Alex,
I looked through.
Make a note. Make a note, Alex. Take notes.
Yeah. So I've looked through. All I have is like my failed YouTube career, right? And mine aren't as funny. They're not as good. It doesn't sound erotic at all. So I love the listeners of Bass and Brews. If you guys have a clip of you guys fishing and it sounds a little suspect, send it to us. You can hit us up on TikTok.
And that's all yours. That's not a BTL. That's not BTL material, but that is perfect for Bass and Brews.
Oh,
yes,
no.
It is.
100% in brand with us.
Yeah. This is the porn or fishing. Listen to the audio clip.
Like
And
last week.
you just have 5 or 6.
Yeah.
6.
Well, here's the problem, Alex. One of hold on. No. One of us is going to have to go onto our computer and go look up porn and start pulling off porn sound bites. And I'm not sure.
I just realized that when Matt said it, he said you got to get 5 or 6 clips. So I've got to
tax write-off.
No,
what am I going to write off? We don't make any money off this bitch.
Well, not only that, who's paying for porn now? I mean, there's so much free stuff out there.
Yeah, that's a whole different show.
There's a future with that bit.
We're gonna run with it because if there's anybody on this
especially
podcast
listen,
that
if
knows
you
how to
incorporate that and then bring Astroglide in, that's a freaking slam.
Yo, dude,
they sponsored that segment, dude. You guys are set. You're set for life. You're bringing in freaking some serious coin.
Hold on,
porn or bass brought to you. This is the porn or bass segment brought to you by Astroglide.
Because even that first one works
the
perfect.
Bass or Ass segment sponsored by
Bass or Ass.
Yes, bass or ass.
And then if your guest gets him right, you send them product.
Yes, they get a free Astroglide bottle.
Because who doesn't like explaining that when it shows up on a Tuesday afternoon?
The wife's like, "Oh, is this my exfoliator coming from Amazon, or is this Astroglide?"
That's for the screen door.
Hanger, we can do some really cool stuff with the post office too, because Alex's wife is a postal worker.
She is. She's for the longest time we called her a Mandy, your friendly postal worker. But after last week's episode, I want to make sure it's clear. She's your unfriendly postal worker.
Well, Matt, I know you hadn't opened up your package that I sent you, but a couple episodes we talked about when I send packages out.
You send a glitter bombs with all of them. Last one, it had the most random stuff I've ever seen in my life. Here's the thing. Last one, though, you sent paper clips. And I'm not kidding. I was in dire need of some paper clips. And I was like, how in the hell do I not have a paper clip in this house? And then I opened it and there were like 7 various sized paper clips in the package. And I used every single one of them within 24 hours of opening the package.
Oh my God.
Damn,
Matt,
I wish I'd known that.
And it had suckers. It had some dum-dums in there.
Matt, can you not fucking encourage this awful behavior from him?
It was all wrapped up in a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. He got but Matt got a T-shirt with his trash. Alex,
what did
you get?
What did you get? What T-shirt did you get, Matt?
I have 2 T-shirts from Paul. I've got a Crusher shirt, and then I've got one with your face on it, don't I?
Yeah.
I wear that one too. It's yellow. It's very comfortable.
Yeah. I sent
My kids wear that shirt and they're like, "Look at this weird dude on it." It's the funniest thing. And then my oldest will go, "That's Paul, Alex's buddy." I'm like, "Yeah, it is. Can you not mention that?"
Alex let his daughters listen to this podcast because Alex told me one time he had to translate what I was saying to them. It's like, what is he saying?
Yeah, they struggle with his
diction.
Accent. Yeah, his diction. Yeah, diction.
That's what it's called.
I sent Alex that hat he's wearing. I sent it with a box full of goodies too.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, we had Tiny Two Poles texting me because I asked for his address a couple weeks ago, and last week he texted me back and says, "Forget my address. I don't want trash in the mail."
Hey, Paul. Total side note. So when Paul sent me this hat, he also sent me like the big straw hat that has this on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we did that really cool. We did a TikTok video with all of my family basically wearing the straw hat, giving a y'all look, because that's his little catchphrase, right? It's going to happen again at Christmas, Paul. So be prepared. So Amanda, my wife, her family has, they call it...
Hey, was she going to wear the panties I sent her?
No. Anyways, they call it the white trash white Christmas, right? So we have a Christmas party, but your job is to bring the cheapest bottle of wine you can bring, and then everybody tastes it.
Oh,
Yeah. So there's also
that
a lot of
sounds
like,
painful.
dude, it's awful. There's a lot of like Mad Dog 2020 involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for this, I'm breaking the hat out again. Amanda said we got to break the hat out again. So we're going to break out the Y'all Look grass hat again for that because I want to do it like deep into the tasting. Because everybody takes like a legitimate like half a cup and it's like 40 cups of garbage wine.
Ooh.
Yeah, and all these Polacks get fucking hammered. These Polacks and Italians get fucking annihilated. I got a DD because my wife is a lush and also partakes in it. But yeah, it's going to be a really funny Y'all Look video.
Sounds like it.
Mm-hmm. I feel like everybody's
Silence.
doing something else right now other than
Silence.
like Matt's watching his sponsors canceling him as it's going through.
I'm all good. I mean, there's not many Forbes. I've told some good ones. I've told some good ones I've never told before.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I feel like
Well, that's what happens when you come on a podcast where
Yeah.
you only like 50 people listen. You can tell the shit that you don't care about anybody hearing.
You guys just gotta keep at it. It'll keep growing.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Hey-o.
I
All right,
really think
let's-
the future is with Astroglide because I promise you, if the word gets out that there is a bass fishing show or a fishing show that is sponsored by Astroglide, skyrocketed views just out
Well-
of pure morbid curiosity.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
we I mean, everybody knows we fully leaned into Kayak Bass Fishing Nation said we're not a fishing show, we're a variety show.
Is that like? That's like the Bravo channel kayak fishing, isn't it? I mean, listen, I don't know.
No,
into it.
no,
I
you're
respect
fucking
kayak
right.
fishing.
You are
Dude,
right.
I'm
that
not
is
saying
spot
it's a
on.
second class or anything. Like, don't come
Nope.
at me, kayak anglers. I fully respect it.
Nope,
I've done
you're
that.
absolutely right.
If I grunt getting up out of a bass boat, I ain't kayak fishing. I watch Bailey's videos and I'm like, man, that guy has like he's agile like a cat.
And
to
I
land
no,
on.
he's
No,
not
no,
agile too.
No, Bo. Hold
He's
on.
got
That is
thighs like a fucking monster. He's got thighs like Zeus, and I don't know
Well, he's
how
a
he
hockey
gets up
player
and out of
too.
it.
So I mean,
Yeah, he's got those hockey thighs
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, look, you can't watch his videos and correlate that to other kayakers.
what is
Bailey
kayak fish? I mean, I watch Christine Fisher and
okay, again, you can't correlate Christine Fisher to regular kayakers either. I mean, she's a tall, like
all of
100
her
pound.
videos look like her kayak's going like this, and she's just standing there like a statue. Like
Yeah.
she never
Yeah.
loses her balance ever.
Yeah.
Bo, I
And
stand up
fish
to
is standing up like on the front of the damn thing.
I
Dude, we
stand
all
up
do
to
that.
pee. I stand up to pee in my kayak, and I
Wait.
have to I have to before I start going tinkle. I have to like get in rhythm with the waves so my
Wait.
fat ass don't fall out. Like
Matt,
that's a whole.
have you
different thing.
ever been on a legit kayak?
Nope.
Like a
I mean, I've
legit.
been on a paddleboard. I've been
No,
in
no,
like
no.
one of the cheap plastic kayaks, but
You
like
have
I've
been in
never
a-
been in like a Hobie or anything like that.
Oh man, how does
Dude.
this not happen? We got to get you on a real
Oh.
kayak.
Dude, this is a whole
But-
like
Look.
I'm gonna tell you what, like it's not as sketchy as people think
Mm-hmm.
at all. Like he runs a Hobie. I run an Old Town. Like both those boats are can be reasonable, and you're not gonna fall out of them at all unless you
Well-
legitimately try like Wolf of Walmart, who somehow wants to like purposely flip his shit. That's the
Is that a
stupidest
dude
thing
like
ever.
on YouTube who intentionally?
No,
Nah,
he's the guy
it's
that
a-
makes the memes for
Oh.
us who just got his
Yeah.
first kayak. But no, look. We got to get you in the real kayak. I mean,
Yeah, dude.
all the professional guys are hopping into the kayaks. I mean, we got to get
Yeah,
you
you
in
got
one.
Jordan Lee and Justin Lucas.
I mean, you're not in the elite series yet, so maybe this is your avenue.
Maybe.
Look, you won't have to worry about your transmission going out hauling the kayak down the road. Hey, did you get a new truck, or are you still putting transmissions in the old Chevy that had like 300,000 miles?
Listen, I just looked tonight because, like I said, I had to go out to get some beer because I didn't have any beer in the house.
Yeah.
I have 2,991 or 299,991 miles on my 2018 Chevy Silverado.
Jesus Christ!
2 days ago, I just had to put new brake pads and rotors on the front.
What's
for
the
like
percentage of those miles that you're hauling your Bass Cat on?
I'd say probably 30%, 30 to 40% of them. I still drive a lot, and then I lived up in Tulsa for 3 years and drove. I drove 5.5 hours round trip every 4 days a week for 3 years.
So you could do the same thing.
That was a bad life choice.
You could do the same thing in a Kia Rio with a fucking.
Alex doesn't know that history, but I do. So I'll laugh with you.
Yep.
You could do the same thing in a Kia Rio with a with some kind of attachment on the back for your kayak.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, kayak fishing at some point becomes the how do I say this properly? It becomes the guys who tried to be pro bass fishermen's outlet.
Yeah, in some extent, I think there's some guys who started in it and they freaking.
No, they have.
Dude,
I'm just messing with
you. Want to talk like that Drew Gregory guy? He's fairly aggressive, but he's all in on that stuff.
He is.
Is that a fair assessment? Like, he's good.
There's a lot of money to be made in the kayak world. We just had our local. We do the Queen City Chronicles, which is a local club out of Charlotte area. They're I think still the biggest grassroots club. They averaged this year 113 anglers per tournament.
What?
Kayak anglers, 113.
Yeah, man.
Hey,
113 kayak anglers?
Average per tournament, 113. No motors. This is all manual
so no
power.
Torpedoes. Everyone's
no torpedoes. Yeah, paddling or pedaling.
No, pedaling.
And
mostly.
And 113, and their TOC was this weekend. It was like $8,000. $8,000 payout for first.
And guys have scope and 10-inch graphs and all sorts.
Yeah. Oh, dude!
I mean, if you watch Bailey's got
Matt,
two screens on their scope.
You should have some of these guys. Like, have you had Russ Snyder's on yet?
No, I listened to his one he did with Zaldane. So here's the problem with BTO. The when you're talking about like techniques and stuff like that, it's all good. Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
But the kayak guys don't relate to the shows about bass boats, and then the bass boat guys just don't watch any of the kayak stuff.
I get you.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Makes sense.
So
you got to talk to your people.
Yeah. So I mean, I've dabbled in but I'm so freaking novice in it, and I don't know. I mean, I know it's like such a different culture. Like, and then I'm terrified of it when you actually dive into a Facebook page or something like that. That's why I said it's like the freaking Bravo channel. It's like, hey, you guys are fishing, right? Like out of a kayak, right? But I mean, it's like, did he bend the board? Did he not bend the board? Is it a fake? I mean, dude, like the stuff on that, it is straight savage in the kayak world. Like, there's a lot of people who hate themselves in that deal.
Hey, here's the deal. Think about it like this, Panger. Take it back to the 80s of bass fishing, professional bass fishing and bass boats.
That's a good point.
And how you hear all the stories about the guys pushing the limits, pushing the rules in the early part of fishing, and
hiding gas tanks along the way, chainsawing into areas, digging out dams to shoot them at 60 miles an hour.
Roland Martin having the platform on his boat. You know, all these things early on in the bass fishing world. That's where we are in the kayak world. Is right now, it's the early part of it. So all the people are pushing the boundaries. So all these rules are coming about from people pushing the boundaries, the gray areas of the rules. And so that's what we're seeing in the kayak world right now. Is people, well, this doesn't say this in the rules. It says this. And so if you take it back to the early days of the bass boat world, you had the same thing, but what you didn't have back in the 80s and 90s and the 70s and whenever, you didn't have social media to blow it up to what it is now.
The last thing I really got in, what is the kayak league that has like teams?
Okay. All right. Let me talk about this.
I went down on that, and I tried to get into that and listen to some podcasts, and I was, like I said, I was like, this is like,
bro,
the Real Housewives of Lake Gunnersville.
Yeah.
So you had the guy on from Oklahoma. It was the KFL, the Kayak Fishing League, and it went for 2 or 3 years. And then this year, the guy who started that just completely dropped off the face of the earth and just ended it. And somebody else picked it up, and they had a season. But that you had the guy on. That was an awesome concept, a great concept.
Yeah.
But the guy who was running it just did not run it well. Is the nicest way to say it. But that was a cool concept. It just didn't go anywhere. But you're right. There's in fishing, there's drama anyway. But in the kayak world, we're in that part of the drama in the early stages of kayak fishing that is everything is drama, but it's accentuated by social media, where they didn't have that in the early days of the bass boat world, where guys were doing all the crazy shit.
So is anybody actually like, I mean, because you guys are like have to go to the bank to like, has there ever been like kayak ramming kayaks and guys who actually like, oh, let's pedal to the bank and have it out on the sand dunes?
No, but there was an incident last year with the guy that fishes the Queen City Club out of Charlotte, Joey Randall, I think. I can't fucking remember. I think it was Joey. Anyway, if it wasn't, it was one of those guys. They were in Alabama. I can't remember where they were in Alabama, and a bass boat guy hit him. He was idling, but he hit him with the boat and was like, get that piece of, get the fucking kayaks, this and that shit. He's like, meet me at the dock. The kayak guy was like, meet me at the dock. And he met him at the dock. They got in a fist fight. And the guy whooped the bass boat guy's ass at the dock. And people called the police. It's on KBN, the Bravo.
Yeah, the Bravo.
And they called the police, and the guy whooped the bass boat guy's ass on the ramp. So we don't have that much in the kayak world like that, but there are some areas in
it seems like there's a lot of DQs, a lot of great, like
there's a lot of DQs just because of the nature of the you know what I mean, catch picture. But I would say you should have Russ Snyder's on, because he can talk to you about fishing, but more importantly, he can talk to you about decks.
Literally, but he was a California bass boat angler before he got into he was.
The most entertaining thing about Russ is his deck work. He is the deck master.
Is that what he does? Does he build decks and stuff?
No, he doesn't build them.
He refinishes them.
Yeah, rebuilds decks.
Is he the closest thing to a full-time kayak pro who actually like makes a salary living at kayak tournament fishing?
Yeah. It's like him, Christine, a couple other people, but he's up there. But he does deck restoration on the side, and we had him on the show, and his fishing is obviously on point because he's one of the best in the game for kayak fishing. But you know what? I love that man for his deck work. I don't know why you guys are laughing. Paul, you were there. You loved his deck work.
Look, I tell people all the time, whatever happens on this podcast, the next morning when I wake up, I have no idea what happened.
Paul, you said his deck work was strong, it was hard, it was fast, and it's proficient. So
yeah, it was beautiful after product. Good times. Pangrac,
all right.
Do you have any more stories from back in the day that come to your mind that are enlightening or outrageous?
He's like, no, I'm done.
You spent a lot of time on boats with professionals. Who's the one angler you would never get on the boat again because of how crazy they were on the water?
Besides Schwinkbeck?
Yes, since we already know his story.
Yep.
Because he was my boat driver on Erie that day, and he literally was like, he was like, sweet, they're big enough that we can run in between them. And was just 5 to 7 foot on either side, just 65 miles an hour right down the gut.
Schwinkbeck was the one that had something happen on the water too, where the boat did like a 360. Was that him, or am I mixing this up with another podcast I heard? Where I think it was Schwinkbeck, where he looked at the guys like, "How are you still in the boat?" Was that Schwinkbeck?
I don't know.
Or was that another podcast? Well, anyway, answer the question. You've ridden with a lot of people on bass boats. Who was the scariest that you would not want to ride on a bass boat with again?
Old school guy, Harold Allen, who I worked with for BTL. I mean, the dude, and this makes a lot of sense when you think about it. But I was in the boat with him probably 30 days a year for 6 years, and if we were on a lake that had timber or stumps, he was always wide open. I mean, that was his thing. He was the guy who in the 80s would take his Skeeter, take it into an auto body shop, have him put it on the rack, take sandpaper and sand the bottom off so it would be faster. And I would always be just freaked out, and I was always pissed that he would always head right towards the biggest freaking wood in the entire lake. And he made a great point one time. His first point was, God, it's amazing I was a pro for 30 years without you pointing out every stump. His second point was the biggest trees back in the day had the most shade, and you never see two big trees that grow next to each other. So the closer you run to the biggest wood in the lake, the safer you are, because that's that only piece of big timber. That's the truth, though, if you think about it.
Yeah,
that is true.
You never see two big trees next to each other. So the safest place you can run is right next to a giant stump, because there's always been too much shade. There hasn't been enough sunlight when those trees were for a big tree to grow next to it. Now, don't take that to the bank.
Look.
That's allegedly.
Somebody's tearing their lower unit off in 2 weeks when they listen to this. And they're like, Matt Pangrac told me.
But it makes sense.
Yeah. Make sure it's Matt. It's not Bass and Brews. It's BTL.
All right, this is my other question. You've been in bass boats from the late 90s to now. Do they run better, different? Like, is it different being on bass boats now than it was in the late 90s, early 2000s? Riding? Are they
you
faster?
Just don't have to drive. You don't have to drive them as much now. A lot of it when you got in, like, you learned the butt wiggle and the feel of the boat and stuff. And I didn't really start driving my own bass boat till the mid 2000s, but there's a lot less skill, I think, in driving a bass boat high end than like it used to be. Like you felt like you were barely hanging, and you talk to the guys about how they had to set it up and how they had to really drive it. You don't see a lot. I mean, there's just so many good brands out there. You don't see a lot of chine walking anymore. You don't see a lot of the porpoising anymore. I mean, it's just it's a lot of, you can really open it up. But I mean, I know, just listen to the old timers talk. It was a massive skill, especially like, shotgun starts too.
Right.
But it was a big time skill in driving those freaking 18.5 foot bass boats with 150s on them and 200s then that were going 70 miles an hour. All the old timers will talk about just really like, oh, that guy could drive a boat. Like, you don't really hear that a lot of guys just talk about, everyone, it seems like he can drive, but there's still like, I remember, like, I was fishing as a AAA in the US Open on Lake Mead like 5 years ago. And I watched Brett Hite, I think it was Colville Bay. They're out, through the Narrows. It's just wide open thing. And I watched Brett Hite go across this freaking bay with 3-footers like it was glass. And I just remember, we're sitting there, and I'm with the guy who can drive a boat too, right? Like, I'm with the guy who's a professional. He won the US Open a couple years after that. But I remember watching, like, we come out and it's and like, we'll get there safe. and Brett Hite just goes at like 65. Like, it's insane. Like, how good he could drive that boat.
I love when you listen to the old timers. I would say the guys that fished 2010 and before. Anytime you hear a lot of people ask, what's the top 3 scariest lakes you've been on and stuff, and this is close to my heart because almost everybody's Santee is in their top 3 for how crazy it can be. And so that's one of those lakes that you think about, and then you get into those the lakes up in New York or
it's just
Great
a
Lakes.
different different type of danger. It's a totally different type of danger being out on the Great Lakes by yourself in a 20-foot bass boat and 5-footers and being. I mean, I still get scared. I mean, not scared, but I mean, I ain't afraid to turn around.
Yeah.
Like, I am not afraid to turn around and just be like, yeah, not for me today.
That's a lot. That's tens of thousands of dollars that you could fuck up.
Yeah.
If you aren't comfortable where you are.
I did that on the Chesapeake. I was going to make a 230-mile run.
God dang it.
And fish for 2 hours, get gas 3 times.
Shit.
And I got, and I didn't know how to run it properly. Kurt Dove ended up making the run, and he's like, yeah, dude, you should have gone on the outside because the wind was going against the tide. And if you'd gotten on the outside, you could have shot it and then shot across. I'm glad I didn't, because the river I was going to ended up being blown out. No one caught him. There's like 3 boats that ended up going, but I got out in it in Chesapeake Bay and like I ate like 4 in a row.
Oof.
And it was straight salt.
Yeah.
And I just looked at the guy next to me and I was like, we on to plan B. And he's like, thank God. And I spun around and spent 30 minutes going with him.
Matt's like, hey, I run a successful podcast.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
Hey, that reminds me of a quick story I heard Mark tell about. He had the marshal in his boat where they were running, and she started throwing up on the side of the boat, and he ended up having to take her back because of the waves. All right.
Bill Lowen had a dude, had never been in a bass boat before.
Oh, shit.
And
was a marshal?
have you heard this story, Alex?
No, I have not.
And he takes off in the morning, and he's booking it, and it's a little rough. And I mean, he's in a glass boat. This was before the Express. And the marshal's like going. He's like, you good? He's like, nope, I'm not. And he's like, what's wrong? And he's like, this is too dangerous. And he's like, no, we're good. And he's like, nope. And he goes, take me to the bank. This is right off first thing in the morning.
What the fuck?
And they're like 15 miles down the lake. And Bill's like, huh? And he goes, I'm serious. Stop the boat. Take me to the bank. And Lowen's like, does this guy have to go to the bathroom or something like that?
Yeah.
Guy grabs his bag, gets off, gets in thigh deep water, trudges out, walks off into the woods.
It's done.
Damn.
Bill's sitting there, has to call a trip and be like, hey man, like my marshal just bailed. They're like, what do you mean? And he's like, he is gone. So they
He
called
didn't
the
fall
marshal.
off the boat gone. He just went to the bank.
The marshal like walked up to some train tracks, followed it to a road, called a freaking Uber and Ubered back, drove his ass home. They like called him and he's like, yeah, no, that was way too dangerous. Like, did not feel safe.
That is insane.
Just
Holy
got off
shit.
and walked up into the woods.
That's fucking insane.
Well, look, man, we're going to start wrapping this up. You've already done the shotgun round in an earlier episode, but we want to end this. We want to end this on a happy note with one last marry, fuck, kill.
Oh God.
Yep.
Yep.
That's what we're doing. That's like our new thing, I feel like.
So these are your 3 options: Astroglide, KY Jelly, and Vaseline.
I mean, honestly, I have no experience with any of those 3. So it doesn't matter. Just put them in any order.
Just earlier tonight, you told us you had a story with KY. So I mean,
I did. No, that was with Astroglide. You know what I'm going to say?
Damn,
I'm going to say when
up
it comes to lubricants, there's only one lubricant that rises above them, and it's Astroglide, and you shouldn't even have the other 2 anywhere in your possession. So Astroglide gets the M, the F, and the K. In this
Okay, I would agree with that, but I will counter that with if as a bass angler you're going to use any lubricant, it's bass fuel. That's all I'm saying. Not bass fuel. Bass fuel.
Matt, it was awesome to have you on the show. Hang on for a minute. Normally we end the show on some dumb shit.
It's bait fuel. If you're a bass angler, the one lubricant you're going to use is bait fuel.
I'm not sold on that yet, but I'm not sold on it. I'm not sold on it enough that I still have it in the boat, but I don't know if that's because of the genius marketing or because it actually does work.
Well, we're not talking about catching fish, Matt. We're talking about lubricant. And if you take Astroglide and bait fuel side by side, you won't know the difference. Don't ask how many. I don't know. Anyway, go ahead, Alex. Do your thing.